Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the 220th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host, Steve Wellings, and joining me this evening, we have a bit of a skeleton crew, to say the least. Andy Patterson and Tommy Allen so far. Sorry about the late start there, guys. Donnie was about to join us on the link, and then all of a sudden, he decided that his iPad was broken, so hopefully we'll get him on the call. If anybody wants to join in tonight, considering that we haven't got that many, then hit up one of the guys and we'll send you the link at some point during the show. Right, not really a hell of a lot going on over the weekend, as we said last week, whenever we were going through the show previews. There's more next week. We have Lomachenko, we have Frank Warren's Big Box Nation bill. But this week, not a hell of a lot. Huck, I suppose, against Briedis was the big fight from the weekend. Huck Sports Promotions over in Dortmund, Germany. Huck losing the vacant WBC World Cruiserweight title and the lightly regarded IBO World Cruiserweight title. Let's have a look at the scores, shall we? Massimo Barravecchio 116-111 to Briedis, Guido Cavalieri 117-110, and Eddie Papo 118-109. I thought that Briedis boxed quite well, to be honest. I know a few people weren't too enamoured by the spectacle, but I thought Briedis used his double jab really well. He didn't really have to throw too many power punches, but he did throw quite well to the body. And he matched Huck for strength on the inside, and Huck wasn't able to use his physical strength, his dirty tactics. He tried anything he could, but Huck is just too old now. I think he needs to retire. He's got nothing left in the locker. He just can't pull the trigger anymore, Tommy. Let's have a look at those scores. It would indicate, Tommy, that there was a point deduction or a knockdown scored somewhere. Do you know anything about this?
I seen that last night on the cards. There was an odd number in a Hook score. I'm not sure where the point deduction came from, but I'm thinking. Remember, the referee pulled him for an elbow near the end. I think it must have been that, but I don't know. I thought the scores were actually still a bit close. I gave Briedis every round in that fight last night. I don't think you could do Captain Hook a share any of the rounds. I thought he boxed really, really well behind his jab. He was landing his right hand. Good few uppercuts in there as well. I thought it was a really good performance from him last night. I've been saying he's a wild fighter, but he's nice and controlled. He is a good boxer. He's natural weight now as well at Cruiserweight, where he should be fighting. He's fought a great fight last night, and he's done that obviously because the title was on the line. He's went out there. You know, Hook can be quite dangerous, so he's went out there control performance, and he's done the damage. I agree with Hook. He couldn't mount nothing last night. He's never really been a busy fighter, but he's always had these spells during rounds where he's let his hands go a lot, but he couldn't even mount anything last night. I think it's maybe time he should think about retiring. I don't think he'll ever win another genuine world title. So it's whether he wants to go on at a lower level now. That's really it for him.
I think, Tommy, that they were saying that this was Huck's final fight with the TV company. I think it was possibly RTL. So he doesn't have anywhere to turn TV-wise either. He should really just hang them up, as you said.
Definitely. I mean, as I say, does he really want to drop down to European level and fight guys? See, the thing with the Cruiserweight division is, I think the division's stacked. There's a lot of guys in there for Eastern Europe and that they're all beasts. Does he want to go and face these guys and for European titles and that? He's going to lose. He's not get massive paydays and that anymore. I'm not sure about that. If it was advised him, I'd be saying, look, you've made your money. He's actually had quite a good career for somebody as limited as him. So I'd say no, he's got his health, his money, and I'm up.
Just finally, Tommy, before we move on to Andy and Donnie, finest Huck moment which has stood out for you from his long and pretty successful career?
Obviously, the win against Lebedev, can we really count it as a win though? But that obviously when he was younger than that as well, Falabi and that, we'll remember him. They were good fights and that. He's had I personally, my favourite moment when he moved up to heavyweight and he fought Povetkin, I thought that was a great fight. He was unlucky not to get the decision. I did think Povetkin raised it, but he proved he had a lot of people, especially online, that were doubting him at the time how good he was. And that night, to me, he proved that he was a top class fighter. I thought he was really good that night.
That was a great fight.
It was a great fight, mate. I really enjoyed it. Povetkin did come in. He wasn't in the best shape I've ever seen him in, but Hook still put up a good fight, and him. I respect him quite a lot after that performance.
You heard Donny Baseball jumping in there. Donny, let's keep things nice and generic. Give us your favourite Huck moment. Do you think it was the Povetkin fight or anything of his work back down at Cruiserweight?
Yeah, I was going to say, well, first of all, you could pick a lot of moments for Huck. Every fight he's in is really good, right? The shame of Huck is that is he only about 33 or 34 years old?
He's 32, mate.
He's 32, exactly.
He's actually just turned 32, but
it's almost like you think he's older because he's been in so many wars. It's like he was old before he was, even when he was still young. He's been in so many ring wars, and you can kind of see that just there was something that every time he left the ring, he always left a piece of himself in it because he was such an action fighter and he was so exciting. You could point to any one of his fights and just say, well, that was a great moment. The Becca fight was great. I was a big fan of that fight, but he's it's hard to believe, like I said, he's only 32 because he's been in so many great fights.
Donny, just looking at the Cruiserweight division as a whole, we have Usyk, the WBO champion, Gassiev, I think, is the IBF, Shumanov holds some version of the WBA. You've got the likes of Vladarchik, Lebedev still hanging around, Vlasov's decent, Tony Bellew obviously he has some kind of emeritus title now. I think we just need to keep seeing these guys going in against each other, Donny.
I think Usyk is the cream of that division, and I think that if it came down to it, I think he'd beat any one of them. I am excited about Briedis a little bit. I think that maybe he might be able to challenge him, but if it comes down to it, I think Alexander Usyk beats pretty much everybody there. That's not to say that there can't be some great fights to be made between all of the various runners up in the division, but I don't really see anybody beating.
Okay, Donny, thanks for that. Andy, I'll lead you in on the same question. Ben Thorns actually sent this in on Twitter earlier on today. He said, did last night confirm what we already knew? Basically that Usyk is the best cruiserweight out there?
Yeah, going into the fight, I think everybody's basically anointed him as a number one, even after his last fight against Machunu. People, it was to actually look good against a type of fighter like that was actually going to be hard, but he still got the stoppage anyway, so you've got to give him credit for that. So it's without doubt, I think he is the top cruiserweight. There's some names coming through. Obviously, they got a Romanian guy coming through. I forget his name, Constantine something. Tabiti, the American. Who's the other one? Denton Daly. I think he might be. There's a South African boy also coming up through. So you didn't know if these boys are going to add to the ranks and stuff, but slightly disappointed last night, I suppose. People, it was the type of fight that we all thought it would be. Briedis, as everybody says, he was on point. Jab was great. Took his head off centre, so Huck couldn't really line up the right hand. He just really couldn't get the. He couldn't let the hands go. Everybody knows this. I think I asked the question. I did an article on Boxing Scene actually about 3-4 years ago. Even at 28, you were asking if Marco Huck has seen the best his time and stuff. He can't moan about his career. He's had a real good career. I think Marco Huck has always been in great fights. My favourite moment with him would probably be the first fight against Arslan. That was absolute war attrition. Some say we'd even lost that fight. Povetkin, he gave his bollocks in that fight. Didn't go up too high in weight. I think he only went up about 9 pounds, 10 pounds or something. But you just don't know, coming back down a weight over the years, that's just gradually kind of wore at him. You just don't know what he's walking about weight is. But he's been at the trenches with Afalabi. I think it was the second fight, round 12. That was absolutely brutal. And obviously, I think he was maybe going for the record of cruiserweight defences against Galaki.
Johnny Nelson's record, wasn't he?
Aye, and badly knocked out. So as I say, I would probably say around about 2013-14 was probably around about the time Marco Huck's prime. It's ever since it's been downhill from there on in. I never gave him a round last night. He was trying to come forward, but he just says, you just say Steve Briedis was brilliant on the inside. I'd be disappointed he couldn't get that right uppercut off a few times. Briedis, he did get it off in the 8th round. I was like, I thought he could maybe went in for it, but I was obviously just giving Huck every respect, I suppose. You just didn't know what he was just going to kick off at some point, but he just did nothing about him. Absolute clinic I felt from Briedis. Good foot movement again, and showed again that he is now the legit operator in that division. Now I don't know if I would put him number 2, but I was certainly put him in the top 5 anyway. got to see him in against maybe one of the other champions. As for Huck, I don't know if he's going to keep on going, but obviously these two guys come off losses now. I like to maybe see a rematch with Lebedev, but for Huck, I think it is, at the top level he's done, and probably time to hang them up. But if he says he's going to keep fighting anyway, but if he does, I like to see a fight with Lebedev.
Andy, where do you think Tony Bellew fits into all this? I'm sceptical as to whether he'll be looking to move back down and mix in with the likes of these sort of low reward, high risk kind of guys. Considering the type of money now with the public profile he has in the UK, I can imagine Tony maybe staying around heavyweight sort of catchweights, trying to cash out as much as he can. It doesn't seem likely he's going to be back down at cruiserweight. I wouldn't have thought.
Nah, mate. Well, he said, what Tony is saying sometimes, but he said he's going to be running about for another year. So obviously, depends. So Hayes obviously optimistic he's going to get back before the end of the year. So you're probably maybe looking at September, maybe December time for a rematch.
I thought that question was for Tommy.
Was it? I thought it was for myself.
Carry on, mate. Carry on.
Sorry, mate. There you go.
I don't even know what the question.
No, it was for Andy. It was for Andy.
Oh, it was? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I thought he said Tommy, and then just Andy just started talking. I'm sorry, maybe I missed it. I'm a little hungover, so I apologize.
Go back to sleep. I forget where I was now. Bellew, as I say, one more fight now with retirement. It's biggest cash out fight he can get. Maybe Wilder, but I think, as I say, Hay, you've got the Hay backstory there, so I dare say they're going to do good numbers on pay-per-view. You know what Eddie Hearn's like. He loves a pay-per-view. Going to be increasing those pay-per-views over time, Eddie?
Right. Thanks, Donny. It's great to have you on the call.
Didn't you see Gamil Yaffai's tweet last night where he said that Tony Bellew sleeps with Huck?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man.
They're all on the same team, aren't they, Tommy?
What's that? That's basically it, man. They're both team matchroom, they're team Sky, aren't they? So I wouldn't fancy Big Tony's chance much against Marius Briedis. I think he'd beat Huck, but Briedis would kick his ass.
Tommy, while we've got you on, we had a Facebook question come in early from Robel Damaster. It wasn't actually a question as such, but he said, what about glove game? So I didn't actually see anything about this, Tommy, beforehand, but he said, was this the worst cheating attempt in history since Margachito, so on? And if you look at it, Tommy, there's a picture on Facebook. Apparently someone put the two gloves next to each other, and he said baby gloves for Huck and giant gloves for Briedis. Briedis had these absolute big red sleeping pillows, and Huck had these tiny little puncher's gloves. So the deck really was stacked in Huck's favour last night. He was the promoter.
I wouldn't put anything past the Germans. That's actually, but this is a country where managers have rung bells early when their fighters have been hurting that. So you wouldn't put it past them. If that kind of shit's going on, no man, it's just all right. There should be ramifications because of that. That's fucking, fighters can get hurt doing that with the wrong gloves.
Was that Danny Williams against Konstantin Erich? Was it?
Aye, it was. I remember, like Danny hurt him about halfway through the round, and his manager, it was the Turkish guy, wasn't it? Yeah. Grabbed the thing and started ringing the bell early. Halfway through the round. That was hilarious, man. You feel for Danny, but that was quality.
The worst cheating attempt I've ever seen was that video that Andy shared with us some time ago. It was like a Mexican fight where the guy was basically like knocked the fuck out, and they just like picked him up and put him on the stool, and then they started the round again. You know what I'm talking about, Andy? It
was an Argentinian fight, mate. I'll tweet it out later on. This is one of the worst. I'll tweet it out a bit. This is one of the worst officiating you'll ever see. It's fucking horrendous.
But it was so like they were clearly trying to make one guy win.
Gonzalez against Kogi won.
Yeah, that's
absolutely horrendous refereeing.
Yeah, he was basically knocked out, and they kind of like just like rung the bell and picked him up, and they like put him back out there until like they were never going to let the other guy win at all.
Oh man, talk about it was well stacked against him. I remember at one point in that fight, I've need to go back and watch it again. It's been a few years, but the guy gets taken out at the corner, and he's fucking cornerman's actually up on the ring apron, holding him up by the waistband just to try to keep him vertical. Oh, it was horrendous. But just talking about the gloves, Steve, I don't know what I was. I don't know if Huck's gloves were custom made and Briedis is just right off the shelf or whatever, or maybe just the padding was slightly separated or kind of like, different proportion. But I don't know if Huck's gloves were kind of built for mere padding by the looks of it as well.
Seems to be. While you were mentioning Argentina, Andy, I don't know if you saw the stuff. I can't remember who was putting it on Facebook this week about the Argentinian boxing, and it was sort of calling into question the whole crowdsourcing aspect of BoxRec. The way anybody can sort of become an editor and that. And apparently there was Argentinian records, where 3 of the fights had been written down as unknown, and I can't remember either the fighter whose record it was, or I think it was the fighter whose record it was. Had actually died or something, and he was a journeyman. I'm not sure the exact story. I could be butchering this, but the basic idea is, Andy, that these records are dodgy. We've seen it with the Georgians in the paper. We've seen it with the Argentinians. Now they're just padding the records, and there's something really strange going on.
No, Ryan Scally, actually, I remember he did done an article specifically on the Argentinian boxing scene. Actually, I need to go back and check that one as well and get that tweeted out. But it just comes, as you say, comes right off the back of that thing with the Georgians as well in the newspaper. Was it you got to pay? Was it 40 quid to register yourself with?
Oh, fuck's sake. He's an at it, like.
What the fuck?
What was that?
It sounded like either you were tickling a bunch of women or you had some chickens in the background. I'm not really sure.
It was fucking Tommy. He just dropped off the call.
What the fuck was that?
Steve, you there?
Does anyone have any idea what that was?
What the fuck?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, aye.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on. Tommy sounded like he was being assaulted, and then he dropped off the call.
Holy fuck.
This is why it's the Nuthouse, Andy. Tell us. Sorry, please proceed.
Where were we?
I think you were talking about Argentinian fake records or something.
I'm actually thinking Tommy's been murdered or something like that. As I say, Ryan's got this article. I'll need to go and tweet it back out. I forget the full context of your question, Steve, but Argentina is it's a hotbed of corruption and fake fucking boxing records. But I think there's a fair bit of corruption closer to home as well.
As I was saying earlier, Andy, this could be a night where the show lasts for about 45 minutes because this is just going to turn out to be a complete shitfest, man.
To be fair, this isn't really confined to Argentina. So, for instance, to give you 2 examples historically, I mean, you might think in the internet age we would have a little bit better records, but when Julio Cesar Chavez was reaching his 100th fight to go, 100-0 or whatever it was, basically he had always maintained that he was already 100-0. He said that there were 4 or 5 fights in Mexico that never got onto his record. And back in the day, I know we use BoxRec now. I don't know if do they still have Fight Facts?
I think it's still going, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what they used to have back in the day. So there was that, and then also I think it was the 1980s, there was the Ring magazine scandal where they were ranking guys, and they were on this Don King promoted series on ABC, and they were putting guys up there like they had all Don King prospects, and they were facing these guys that were like 11-0, 21-0, whatever. And in reality, they only had like 3 or 4 fights. Like their records were totally fabricated. And that happened as recently as the 80s. So I mean, it's not unheard of to have fabricated records in boxing. I mean, boxing is the red light district of sports, and these things happen from time to time. It's kind of always been that way, in my opinion.
Yeah, we've spoken about it before, particularly about the Latvians, which is quite strange considering Briedis was there winning at the very highest level as a Latvian fighter. But some of them, they have gym fights, Donny. They're just basically fights in gyms, but pretty much sparring sessions to try and build the record up. And then they get them to about 10-0, 11-0, and then they bring them over to the UK. And then because they've got this unbeaten record, which is quite aesthetically pleasing, and then they get the big money, say a few £1,000s, get knocked out. And once they've got that one loss on their record, Donny, they then just become journeymen, and then you see them getting about 30 or 40 losses after that.
And Eddie will call them, world class.
Pretty much. Right, we've had a couple. Yeah,
we got world class opponents in there.
Exactly. But a couple more questions coming in as we're on the radio at the moment. Andy, I was thinking this myself actually while I was watching the fight about Briedis. I thought if he gets beaten now, if he gasses say at the end of the fight and gets beaten, which bandwagon are we going to get onto now? The hardcores are going to have another black in the black eye, for following this guy. And John Swan sent a message particularly on this theme, Andy. He said, with Briedis now a champion, who will be the next boxer to be the favourite choice of the modern day boxing hipsters?
Ooh. Any division?
Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
It's got to be some Eastern European or something, hasn't it?
It's got to be one of these guys. It's like a killer coming through. I mean, there's he's one fighting next week, the light heavyweight. Is it Gavodsky? He's on the Lomachenko undercard. Maybe
Gavozdik, is that, yeah?
Aye, maybe him. Try to think of like the weird weight classes, but there's nothing really kind of coming through. It's going to really stick.
I know this Derevchenko or something, a few have been quite high on him, and Sergei Lipinets has been getting a bit of hardcore love, hasn't he? Yeah.
That other Lithuanian guy as well. So I usually,
yeah.
I noticed there was the guy that knocked out Manucci last week. It was kind of suspect. He's getting kind of called out for maybe throwing the fight. He fought some Uzbekistani or something like that, I'm sure, and he's getting a bit of hype as well. He's been 9-0 or something. But I can't really kind of get any names for you now, Mick, because that guy at middleweight, is it Derevchenko?
Derevchenko, yeah.
That's the one. That's the other one I was thinking about.
Right, Tommy, the producer's screaming in my ear now, not Tommy, Donny even, to move on. We need to move on quickly, but before we do, I'm going to hit you with this one, Donny. It's from Rio Tonka. It's come in as we're on air, so I'm going to read it out on the fly, as they say. Donny, do you believe that Bellew ducked Briedis? As WBC rules say, if you win a vacant title, you must face your mandatory. No voluntaries are allowed. However, Eddie Hearn obviously called in a favour so they could fight Flores instead. And I might add, this isn't Rio Tonka's word, Donny, this is mine, that Flores was also pulled into the top 15. So that maybe makes it even a bit worse. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I can see what you're saying, but I mean, okay, so didn't they have to pay him some step aside money so he could take that fight, or no?
Yes, I think they did pay him some step aside money, yeah.
So he took it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if he took it and they wanted to just set up a voluntary, they said they were going to fight him next. Now, they were never really going to fight him next. They were going to go up and they were setting up the Hay fight, I mean, and then he went up and took the big money against Hay. I mean, how are you going to fault him for that, I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, it frustrates me. The reason why I get frustrated about, like, say, Canelo Golovkin is because, if you look at the interest within the boxing community and even within the community of casuals, that fight probably does make the most money. But, Canelo and Oscar are trying to feather his nest before that fight so that in case he loses, at least, he still has all of his money. Whereas, like, I mean, for Bellew, like, that was the biggest fight out there. There wasn't really anything else that he could do. But, like, for instance, like this upcoming Chavez fight, that's a big money fight that he can make. And, like, he's going to make that money before he can get the Golovkin money, because if you could make one payday, like, why not make two? But, I mean, none of these guys offer real paydays. So he just went up and took the payday against Hay, and guess what? He beat him. So I don't really have an objection to it. I mean, it'd be nice to see Bellew go back down to cruiserweight just because we know that that's his natural weight. And, we'd like to see him fight there because, maybe he could surprise us and beat some more guys that we didn't expect him to beat. We didn't expect him to beat Hay. We didn't expect him to beat Makubu, but he did beat those guys. And I'd like to see him go back down to cruiserweight. But the thing is, now that he's at heavyweight, there are just too many paydays out there for him to go back to cruiserweight, I think. I don't think we're going to see him back there, even though we probably should. So I'm not going to call it a duck because, I mean, the amount of money he was setting himself up with to fight Hay was just so much that, I mean, you can't really, in all actuality, I don't think you can fairly call that a duck.
No duck, says Donny. Donny has spoken. While we're on the subject of the hipster's choice, our friend McKetch, regular listener to the show, shout out to him. He says on Twitter, Dimitri Bivol could be the next hipster's choice, and that's an excellent shout out. Haven't seen a great deal of him myself, just a few clips on YouTube, but he does look like he could be the business. Right, let us move on to the undercard. I don't know if anybody's seen any of this. There were a few fights going on, and I'd just come home from work, so I had them on in the background. Andy didn't really see Begic, Markic, or Grimes or any of these guys. Christina Hammer, I know you know a bit about these ladies, beat Maria Lindberg, 2 world titles on the line. Andy, feel free to say as little or as much as you like about this one.
Pretty dominant, mate. Nothing really to kind of write home about. I did notice like that Grimes guy that you just mentioned, he was fighting another Georgian. I just noticed he's actually had, like, say, one of the great trilogies of all time, fighting a guy was it Yeslet Berkata, or however you fucking pronounce it. 3 times back to back, right? Retired him in the 2nd round, retired him in the 5th round, and then knocked him out in the 3rd round. And during that time, he even picked up the vacant German international middleweight title. German international middleweight title.
That's one of the most prestigious, as we all know.
Oh, what? Sure, Sven Otko stayed up at night dreaming about that title, eh? Jesus Christ.
Yep.
But I mean, so as I say, he was. I watched bits. I mean, the undercard was pretty poor. But you should be talking about undercard and that. I mean, there's like obviously Huck basically confirming that he's past it now at top level, right? The German scene's in a horrific state. I mean, Sturm's been done for drugs. Abraham's 36, 37 maybe. Feigen Boots is awful. Kessler's coming back. So, well, I'm just talking about Sutherland, obviously. I mean, their promotion is going to absolute shit now.
Yeah, but Sauerland still has David Price, though. So, I mean, they got that going.
I saying you couldn't sell it.
Yeah, no, it is crazy, though. There isn't, and the best thing about German boxing is that they don't really do a lot of pay-per-view. I mean, everything a lot of their big fights are all on free television. So, I mean, it really, the German public really gets invested in some of these fighters. And, and they really don't have anybody coming up. I mean, they had a lot of big draws. They had Klitschko, they had Sturm, they had, who's the guy that Ekbo fought there? They had Stiglitz or whatever. Yeah, but like none of these guys are doing anything really. And
he drew his locker last week in a European title defense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he did?
And he's awful. It was awful.
Yeah, well, he's not that good of a fighter. But I'm saying they don't really have anybody coming up though. Like, who are the Sauerland prospects? I have no idea.
Well, I don't. You can't really kind of put him as a prospect now, but Tyron Ziga, I'm sure he's got a title in a minute, is he not?
Yeah, WBA something, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Who doesn't have a WBA? I think Steve Wellings has a WBA title. Everybody's got one.
Yep, I do. I know. Even back in the day, though, guys, they would have had, even if it wasn't German fighters, obviously Sturm, I think he was called Adnan Katic, wasn't he, as an amateur, and they got all these guys. Even your Sinan Samuel Sam was Turkish, but he fought in the German market. Vladimir Virchis, I think, was from Ukraine. You had Dimachenko fighting in Germany. They're not even bringing over the non-Germans anymore that the crowd would have warmed towards it. Your Abrahams, even Huck, I think, as well. They're just not. There's nothing going on in Germany. It really is falling apart at the moment. And you had Zolt Erdei, Karol Baljai,
Bremer,
yeah.
I mean,
you had Thomas Ulrich. He was a good German fighter. Sebastian Sylvester, Roccigiani. They had a real thriving scene. Timo Hoffmann was on there as well. The Klitschko's were boxing out of Germany.
Yeah. Manuel Char was out of there. I mean, Jack. Yeah. Who's it? Jack Kulkai lost to recently. Was it Andrade?
Andrade, yeah.
Yeah. Because Nicky's obviously been out. He's like a kind of mid-level European fighter. Obviously, that guy that Groves fought, I've not heard any more about that guy actually. He was based in Germany.
Do you remember Luan Krasniqi who fought Lamont Brewster as well?
Krasniqi?
Yeah, do you remember him, the heavyweight?
Was that Robin's brother?
I think it wasn't it? He was a heavyweight. In 2005, he fought Lamont Brewster. Yeah. And Max Schmeling just died, I think.
The other one, actually, Gutnick, I couldn't remember his name, Edward Gutnick. Franco, remember Franco had that great knockout of Big Enzo, and you thought, okay, this guy wanted to watch, and then he retired. Murat, Murat had a couple of close fights with Shumenov, I'm sure. He got outclassed with Cleverly, and outclassed with Hopkins, and that's just, his career's just petered out as well.
Right, the golden era of German boxing is over, and we were there to see it. Right, final fight from the weekend. Seeing the Antonio Orozco win over Keandre Gibson. You know too much about that. We shall return to Orozco in the future. Funny name alert in France on Saturday night. Thomas Bastard beat Constantine Sakara. I'm sure it's Bastard or something like that, but just noticed that on BoxCheck and thought I would give it a juvenile shout out.
Yeah, I feel like that guy could. That guy's name is so epic; he could become as epic as maybe the Isaac the Grenade Ekpo. I mean, that's just a great name. Wait, did Bastard win?
He did. He beat Sakara, who had about 36 left. He's on his record.
Very nice. I got a new fighter to follow now. That's great.
Right, let's go over to Nicaragua. There was a bit of beef in the build-up, as there always is, involving Ricardo Mayorga. He fought this Jordiel Zepeda. I didn't see anything of it myself, but he knocked him out in the third round. Zepeda was 12-17-1, and they had a bit of beef at the weigh-in or the press conference or whatever it was. And it says here, apparently, Zepeda refused to continue fighting during round 3, which sounds quite extreme. I'm not really sure what happened and if anyone can shed any light on it, but apparently Andy Mayorga now wants to fight Antonio Margarito. That could be interesting.
Man, I'd read a wee bit about it. I've not seen it yet at all. Said last week he's only back for the money. I mean, Margarito, I suppose, after we talked about his last fight, you could say that, you know, he fought, was it Roman Alvarez's brother, and basically just says if he kind of stuck to that level, he'd actually be okay. But Mayorga's beyond short, and as you know, Tony's only got one eye, so just let them beat the hell at each other. I mean, they're basically on the same level just now, shot-wise, so just let them fucking finish off what's left of them. Let them earn another payday.
Would you like to see Mayorga back and fighting fit, Donny?
I want to see Mayorga back?
Yeah, he won on Saturday night. He's back, man. Yeah, he's going to fight Margarito.
He's old as shit, man. Yeah, I feel bad because, I mean, the last time I remember I saw him, and this is like 3 years ago, there was that video of him, like, passed out in a car somewhere in, like, Nicaragua or something. I mean, he was, like, either drunk or high off his ass. And, I mean, look, we've all been there. I know I have. But, I mean, this is a guy who, he doesn't have to drive his own car. He should be able to have someone drive his drunk ass around. And, it was just sad to see him in that state. And, I mean, now if I see him back at the ring at 40, I'd have to think it's not because he wants to be there, but because he has to be. And you never want to see that. So, yeah, no, Mayorga can maybe get a commentating job somewhere in South America and can avoid the ring rather than having to be going back in it.
Well said, Donny. Right, we've got the Bellew of the Week coming up later, and also we've had one of our listeners has already tweeted me saying, don't you dare forget about the Williams versus Smith fight. Don't worry, we're going to that later on. We're going to do all the previews.
And by the way, did you know that bastard guy, he has 13 wins and 2 losses, but the bastard fought 10 guys with no wins on their record, like 0-15, 0-17, 0-6, 0-8, 0-3, 0-4, and the guy that he knocked out just before last night was 0-10. So that bastard's a fraud. I dare say.
Oh dear, research, Donny, but that is terrible. Yeah, we're going to get Big Russ on the call soon. We've had a bit of mixed feedback for Big Russ. We had a text message during the week from Liam saying, when are we going to get Russ on? I love his stories. He's brilliant. And that was countered by a message from Don, who said, if you ever get that big, fat, casual, useless cunt Russ back on the call, I shall not be listening. So sorry about that, Don. Mixed feedback.
We get a listener and also lose one by having Russ on, is what you're saying.
Well, desperate times.
Well, actually, though, I was thinking instead of having Russ on, we could just have a mime because there'd be no real difference.
I'm going to try something different tonight, so hopefully we'll hear the dulcet tones of Russ very shortly. Let's get a few Twitter questions out the way first. I've had one come in as we're on air from our friend David O'Hara, a regular listener to the show. Donny, if the Andre Ward rematch doesn't happen and Adonis Stevenson is still Adonis Stevenson, where does the Crusher go next?
It would be interesting to see him as a cruiserweight, wouldn't it? You don't think so?
Well, it would, but it's a shame the fact that we've got Ward there, we've got Stevenson there, there's a couple of other decent names. Why should he have to move up to cruiserweight? I think that should be after he's finished his business at light heavyweight. Yeah,
I mean, maybe they could make the Stevenson fight, but Stevenson, I'm not sure how much he really wants it, and he is 40 now, and that fight's a little bit past its expiration date, especially that that Kovalev did not beat Ward. I mean, well, some people think he did, but I mean, on the books he didn't beat him. I mean, if he can't get that rematch with Ward and he can't get a fight with Stevenson, I mean, what's he gonna do? I mean, yeah, it is unfortunate, but I mean, if I'm looking to see like what's the next best fight that Kovalev can be in, I'd have to think he has to test himself at a cruiserweight. Now that doesn't. I think he's the kind of fighter that's so good that he doesn't necessarily have to beef up. Even though I know it's a lot of weight to put on, and the difference between light heavy and cruiserweight, you're talking about 25 pounds. It's not just like any other weight class. But I think that he could maybe, just put on a little bit of muscle, like not too much, and maybe come into a fight at like 185, 190. And I still think he could probably take on most of the cruiserweights there. maybe with the exception of Usyk, but I think that he could fight any one of those guys and probably beat him. And he doesn't have to put on so much weight that he can never come back down. Like maybe if Ward says, okay, in a year from now, or whatever, he'll fight him. I still think that Kovalev could probably come back down. I don't think he has to go and commit all the way to the cruiserweight weight class.
And did you think the Crusher punches hard enough and has the physical strength to be able to move up to cruiserweight, possibly if the avenues, are closed at light heavyweight?
Avenues, I don't think they're closed. It's just Andre Ward being a cunt. I mean, I see he was on Twitter again last night, or seen some people mention it or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, you got up to cruiserweight. I mean, that's what, £25, and you got the increase after 24 hours rehydration. I dare say about like bang enough, but I don't think it'll be as concussive. I mean, you got some monsters, right, brutal monsters up there. I mean, no mean to say that he's going to knock somebody out. But I don't know if it'll be like icing power type thing, but it would punch decent enough, I suppose. But against the monsters, no chance. There's the Guru back.
Wait, can we ask what the hell was going on there when he just left?
Sit right report. What the fuck was that, man?
Oh, fucking hell. My cousin and our pal just came in, the two of them were steaming. They just thought they would attack me in the race, so I've been trying to fight them off for about the last 5-10 minutes. Yeah.
Did you knock her out, Tommy?
The elbow dropped and everything,
Get ready for WrestleMania,
steaming at this time on a Sunday night, that's unacceptable on a school night, yeah. I wish it was me.
Disgusting behaviour on the Nuthouse podcast, Tommy.
Yeah. She's asking for you, Don, and she says she likes your tie, your yellow tie.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. She was wearing it as a bandana of some sort, I believe, by the end of the night. Yeah.
She get her on the call, man.
Days,
man. Let her hear what kind of state she's in.
Get Nicola on. Tell her to say.
Yeah, we're a bit short on numbers, Tommy, man.
That's my way anyway. Honestly, man, you didn't want to listen to these two. Like,
there's nothing better here.
Right, Tommy, let's get you in with a question from Andrew Stokes. I'm going to go to everybody on this one, so listen up. We'll go to you first, Tommy. Can you ask the panel, says Andrew, if they were turning pro, who would they choose to promote their fights? You first, Tommy.
Eddie Hearn, without a doubt. He gets the numbers packed arenas. He's getting the fighters the biggest paydays. So if you're a professional fighter looking to turn pro, you're obviously looking for the biggest paydays. And
sorry, I was just going to say, you know what? You are so right, Tommy. You could say whatever you want. We give Hearn a lot of shit on this podcast, but you know what? If I was trying to, I was a professional fighter, I was trying to make some money. There's absolutely no question. That's exactly where I would go.
Definitely, man. She's guys delivering the payday. So if you're a professional fighter, what you're looking to do when you turn pro is make money, and there's no better place to make money than Sky, is there?
Same with you, Donnie. Would you not go with one of your American promoters, no?
Well, if you were, if I was, I guess, if you want to put it in that context, I probably would go with Arum on this side of the pond. But, if you just look at what Hearn has done with Anthony Joshua, the amount of pay-per-view fights he's able to put on and still do good numbers with them or whatever, he's just, if you want to say like pound for pound, I think, Eddie's probably the best promoter out there, but I think over here, like Arum's done a good job with, say, Crawford and some of these other guys, although he can't seem to get Crawford the Pacquiao fight, which is a failing, I guess, on his part. But Pacquiao at this point probably doesn't really want to fight him. But and he also was doing a lot of really good work with Mikey Garcia too. He built Oscar De La Hoya, he built Floyd, he built Cotto, who are the three main, if you look maybe right now at this moment in the sport, but let's say over the last 5 years, 5 years ago, those were the top three names, the top three draws in the sport were Floyd, Oscar, Cotto, and Pacquiao, and Arum built every single one of them. So if you're not going to go with Eddie,
Oscar De La Hoya as well.
Yep. Yeah, all four of them. Yeah, Oscar, Cotto, Floyd, and Pacquiao. Bob Arum built all four of them. So, if you're on this side of the pond, I would say it. But like right now, I think Eddie Hearn is the man.
Andy, what about you? Who would you go with? I don't know whether I could go with Eddie or not. Probably Bob Arum I would go with if he would recognise my talents.
Yeah, I'll be the same, mate. I think you would go to Hearn and you'd be actually expecting to get paid, like overpaid and shit. So I don't know. It just they didn't seem to kind of like bring through these fighters and get the right test at the right time and stuff. I think it's going to be interesting to see what Arum does with Michael Collin, for example, because you heard Collin say that it'd be about 2019 before he thought about getting a world title shot. So it's going to be interesting to see how Arum brings him up compared to how Eddie does it with his up and comers, because he doesn't really kind of bring in through his own fighters and stuff. He always seems to kind of nick fighters for other people. Maybe about less than a handful as he brought through for like the absolute bottom. So you've got Joshua. Who was the other one? There was one more he brought through. Cal Yafai. That's about the only two fighters I can think of that he's took from like scratch to like world title, and he's been on the go now for how long? 6, 7, 8 years, and he's had all that time and money.
Yeah.
And he still hasn't kind of like really kind of built like a good a good stable of champions.
Yeah,
I suppose. Fun when you think about it. It's actually quite fun when you think about it.
Yeah, I suppose if you look at some of the guys as well, Luke Campbell and that, they've stalled, haven't they, really? You could say, he bought him from scratch, but bought him from where to where? He's sort of meandering at the moment.
Aye.
Right, were you going to say something there, Donny?
Oh, no, sorry.
That's okay. Right, let's see if we can get Big Russ on the call. This could backfire. We'll see how it goes.
Hope he speaks clear enough.
I hope he speaks at all.
How are you doing?
Russ, what's happening?
How you doing? You all right, mate?
Not too bad. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Right, Russ, what's going on with this Kell Brook Errol Spence fight? Apparently it's happening.
You said it was the Hatman at Bramwell Lane.
It happened, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How are you?
Not too bad. Yeah, you're live, Russ. You're live on the Nuthouse, man.
I'm talking.
Right, tell us about this Errol Spence Kell Brook fight then. You said it wasn't going to happen. It looks like it is going to happen.
I went to I went to a show at Sheffield with Ingram Jones and Dennis's show, and the woman in the Sheffield Bramwell Lane said nobody had been in touch with that. About a month ago, nobody had been in touch. So I said, I was pretty shocked to say that they'd announced it and they're not being in touch. Obviously, the fight's going ahead now, and it's a great fight, isn't it? I'm surprised, but I think they're giving Kell Brook a lot of praise for taking it, but it's his mandatory, isn't it? I mean, you have to take your mandatories. He wanted to take the other mandatories that he had, the Errol, Kevin Bizier, he won it, and Jojo Dan. He took them ones, didn't he? So he has to take the tough guys as well, doesn't he? So.
Mm-hmm. And Russ, what about this fight on the weekend, Huck against Briedis? Did you see any of it?
No, I didn't see it, mate, actually, but Briedis beat him, didn't he? So
yeah.
So I didn't see that, mate. I'm not a big fan of Cruiserweight, to be honest, but I do watch them from time to time. I wanted to see Briedis fight Bellew, and one of the lads on the pod made a point about Briedis got step aside money. I didn't hear anything like that, but I did know about the rule that he had, because it was a vacant fight. He had to take the number one guy on, because when Froch fought Pascal, that was a vacant belt, both undefeated. His first defence was Jermaine Taylor, if you remember.
Yeah.
Now, I was shocked when Bellew beat him that he got BJ Flores, because he was ranked about 28, wasn't he, by WBC? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden he came in at number 14, didn't he?
Yeah.
I couldn't work that out for the first defence. I mean, the guy was fighting guys ranked 90 and 150 on BoxRec. Then he fights Bellew. But we're all going down the line towards a fight with David A, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that's how they did it. And you've got to give Eddie credit for that, really, because he knows how to get his guys in for position. He's got power now with him bodies, hasn't he? He hasn't got no power with the WBO. But the other three, he's got a lot of power.
Anybody else got anything they want to say to Russ while he's on with us?
How much ching you were on the day, Russ?
None. Not today. Not on Sundays. I usually recover.
But you just leveling off, eh? You just leveling off.
Yeah, trying my best.
Right, Donnie, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, I didn't have anything.
Ross, right, tell us what's happening then. What's happening with Dennis at the moment and Amir Khan? Any news from Asif?
Dennis he comes back on Tuesday. He's coming back on Tuesday, and I don't know what's happening with Amir Khan. I haven't seen Asif. But I know he's saying that he's looking at doing something with MMA. Amir's said that, which is news to me. But he did say, if you remember, looking at doing something like that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So, and I do know that Asif's, not on Thursday, but Asif's for last month has been involved in MMA. He's been signing MMA guys, or is it UFC? What do we call it in our country? Is it something different?
I think there's 2 codes, isn't there? I'm not an expert now.
2 codes, isn't there? I spoke to Dennis about it last night, and he heard something about it. But like I say, he's been away since his dad died. But I know I did speak to Asif about 2 weeks ago, and he mentioned it, that he's doing something with MMA as well as boxing. I think it's Platinum MMA or something it's called, his company, and as well as boxing. So I don't know. I mean, is that the way that people are going to have to go now? Because obviously nobody's going to get any pay-per-view in this country, on Sky, or even get you guys on Sky. If you're in the little clique, you've got to be in the clique, the little Eddie clique. And if you're not in that, you're just not going to get them on. He don't want to work with anybody, does he, Eddie Hearn?
No.
I mean, how many fights? I mean, this is a question I'd like to ask all you. Now you've got all the guys there. They all know the box. No fights are not getting made with Eddie Hearn. Now there's a lot of Franks guys, isn't there, that should be fighting him. Crawler, Flanigan. I mean, how many more is there?
Jamie McDonnell and Paul Butler.
Jamie McDonnell, no.
Paul Butler.
Yeah, well, I don't know what's happening with that, you see, because Jamie McDonnell, he's involved in a dispute with Dennis, and something, as you know, he left Dennis, didn't he, to go to Eddie Hearn. Now, there's a dispute with Dennis and them, so I don't know if that's dragging that out. I don't know, so I can't really comment on that, but I know that Jamie McDonnell's career is a bit fat at the moment, isn't it? No, it seems to be happening, does it? So I don't know if that's the problem, or if Eddie can't deliver for him. Or has Eddie paid Jamie McDonnell too well going to fight in... Where did he beat that kid at abroad?
Wasn't it in Texas or something, yeah?
He got good money, didn't he, for going there twice. And then he came back and he got chicken feed to go to Monaco. And then he got beat in Monaco, didn't he? So as Eddie thought, he's under his tether now, because he hasn't really got a proper belt, has he?
No.
And the WBA ordered him to fight that kid again.
Wasn't it going to be Roshi Warren he was supposed to be fighting?
Yeah, but didn't the WBA tell him that he had to rematch the kid? What was that kid called, Boris or something? The kid in Monaco.
Solis.
Solis, that was it. Who was the Boris one? That was the other one, wasn't it? Oh, this who beat Stephen Smith.
That was Pedraza, wasn't it?
Who was the other guy who fought Martin Murray then? Well, there was someone Murray, I'm sure. I might have had it wrong anyway, but Jamie McDonnell was ordered by the WBA, wasn't it, to rematch that kid? Because the kid beat him by 5 rounds, didn't he? 6 rounds.
Yeah.
And Sky had him losing as well, but he got the decision by about 5 rounds, didn't he?
Hey, I'm going to bring Andy in, Russ, because I think he has something to say.
No, mate, sorry, I was just going to get ready to ask a couple of other questions about some of the fights and stuff, but no, it was Salisi fought in Monaco in his last fight.
In Monaco, yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Did he?
But the first Kameda fight was meant to be unification, but I don't think the WBO actually rated the title that McDonnell held, and it was like 114, 113 across the 3 scorecards. So I don't know, I can't remember it being controversial in that fight. Maybe some people had Kameda winning the fight, but he might have had a rematch clause in that fight for that fight. Not too sure though.
Yeah, his career just stood still, though, hasn't it? Jamie McDonnell's career since November, hasn't it? Solidly fought, didn't he? He beat him by a unanimous decision, but didn't Sky have him losing by a few rounds? And Bellew had him losing as well.
Yeah.
I know we give Bellew some stick, but he's pretty honest as a pundit, isn't he? He just sees it as he sees it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And I had Solis winning. I'm glad Jamie got the decision because he lives near me, but I thought he lost. And I just heard a rumour that Africa a boxing scene that they'd said that he had to fight him again.
So what's
not being either. And it's fight for now, isn't it?
What's the deal, mate? What's the deal, mate, with Dennis and McDonald's? I mean, are they still in court there? That?
Well, I think. Well, Dennis said to me they went to British Boxing Board of Control for that hearing, and Dennis said McDonald just come out. They missed each other by seconds or something. But so I don't think they actually were in the same room. But I think they settled it, and then they said they were going to do something to make Dennis happy or something down the line. But I don't think anything's happened. So I haven't really spoken to him about it since. And so I don't really know if that's an issue. I don't know. It's just something they'll have to sort out. But Dennis told me that they were going to do some work down the line, but that were before Christmas. Yeah. And obviously now, when it got sorted, now it's. I don't know. I mean, I had reneged on it, but I don't know full SP on it. It's all sorted. So I don't know. If it were me, I'd have had it been caught. They had a contract. Dennis delivered him a world title fight in Doncaster in a football stadium, and he won. Don't forget, he came to Dennis with 2 losses and a draw, and he never got beat. He never got beat with Dennis. British Commonwealth, European, world title, and then he leaves, and then he goes 20 years. And where's Dennis's 400 grand investment?
No.
He broke his bank to get him.
Ross, listen, Ross, before we move on, let me ask you another question. I'm going to keep you on the call, but let me ask you this. What about the pay-per-views? How many do you think we're going to see coming over the coming year on the pay-per-views on Sky?
What do you mean for fights?
Yeah, how many do you think we'll have?
I think Joshua might do 800,000 for Vladimir, probably. I think he might do that, because he's just done 700, and with the last one, hasn't he, Molina? But they had Dillian White saved that show, didn't he, and Derek? But I think they'll probably do 800,000. They'll probably get another 100,000 on top of it. It's a good card.
And how many pay-per-views do you think there will be the rest of the year, including Brook and Spence? Maybe 7 or 8?
I don't think that'll do 7 or 8. No. I mean, they're saying 17,000 tickets were sold in one day, but 9,000 went the day before to Fight Pass, didn't they? Yeah. And then you've got all the fighters' tickets, and then they're already put to one side. They've probably only sold a couple of thousand, but Eddie has to hype it up there to create get your ticket quick. There ain't going to be many left. But when you've got Eddie Hearn trying to put our guy Sam Sheedy on his show, Eddie wanted our guy Sheedy versus Rashid, 28th of April. Eddie wanted that Commonwealth title fight to go on Kell Brook's show. You don't think Dennis was going to let him do that, do you? Fucking hell, man. I mean, he run Curtis Woodhouse up and asked Curtis Woodhouse if he wanted to go on Brook's show. But Curtis has not got his weight down, so he's not going to go on, but he's going with us anyway. But so he's trying to get all this Brook's show in it to build it up. He's got Adam Etchits on, hasn't he, now? He's on. Yeah. So, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it does 30,000 tickets and 500,000 buys. I really don't know. I think he's got his work cut out with that show, me.
Ross, some people think that there's too many pay-per-views during the year. Eddie said that there was. How many do you think there'll be for the rest of the year? 5, 6, 7, or 8?
I've heard 7. There's going to be 7 this year. There were 6 last year, which is a record, isn't it? I've heard 7 this year, and I've heard 10 by 2020 per year. Now, if they're only getting 20 shows a year and they're going to do 10 pay-per-views, that means fans are going to be £170 a year on top of your Sky. That's a lot of money, that, isn't it? Yeah. It's just
10 pay-per-views.
And I think we're going to have an overload of pay-per-view, Steve. Because you're going to have Frank and them doing it soon, aren't you? But credit to them, they've not done it yet, have they?
No.
They might be waiting for Hearn to implode. And if you remember a few years ago, it got banned, didn't it, for 3 years after Audley Harrison and Hay. Yeah. There were no pay-per-view for 37 months, were there? Yeah. And I think that's something like that's going to happen soon. But in credit to Hearn, he's got these casuals on the hook now, hasn't he? I mean, Joshua's had 4 pay-per-view fights, and how many of them have been any good? None. 15 guys.
He hasn't fought at world level yet, Russ.
He hasn't fought at world level yet. This is his first fight at world level, and the guy's 41-year-old. He's 5th guy at over 40, and he's been out 18 months. And how's he even got straight back in for the world titles anyway? They've got Luis Ortiz, they've got rid of him. Why? He's the WBA mandatory for the winner of Vladimir and Joshua. Would you get rid of her for heavyweight in your ranks? Who's the mandatory? I'll tell you why you got rid of him, because he's a bowling man. That's Dave Allen. He'll tell you about Ortiz. He's most accurate. He's as accurate as Tyson as punching. Dave's fought them all, hasn't he? Joshua, 520 rounds, sparred him. He's done 300 rounds with Tyson. He's done with Ortiz, and he says Ortiz is like Tyson. He's very, very accurate. But he said he couldn't get a glove on Tyson or Ortiz, but Joshua, he could tee off on him. Oh yeah, Joshua's an hard puncher, but he said all three of them were hard punchers. He says, but Tyson and Ortiz was more accurate. Ask Dave Allen, he'll tell you straight.
We will. We'll hope and get Dave on at some point. Russ, stay on the call. I'm going to mute you here and get the guys back in. We'll be back to you in a sec, okay? Cheers. Right, Russ is on the call. We've also got Donny Baseball, Andy Patterson, and Tommy the Guru Allen. Let me just bring up my questions again. We're going to get Russ back in.
Just quickly, man. 10 pay-per-views a year. Yeah. So that's every month during the boxing season, there's going to be a pay-per-view. That's criminal, man. It's
going to be sick.
Team Stream, man.
When did he say that was going to happen? Was it 2020?
Yeah. I'm going to get Russ back in.
I had to get rid of Russ there. He seems to be listening to us on YouTube, and my voice is coming back, so we'll try and ring him up and get him back on at some point. Tommy, what were you saying about the criminal nature of all the pay-per-views?
No, I'm just saying that's going to be a pay-per-view every month for the boxing season. If there's 10 a year, if that's right enough for next year, that's criminal, man. I don't mind. See if it's a really, really good card. I don't mind paying for it. I paid for the Triple G against Brook pay-per-view. I don't mind paying for Joshua Klitschko as well, but I'm just not going to pay for the shite that's getting served up, man. We're getting away with that. How can you go for no pay-per-views to fucking 6, 7, 10 a year? As I say, it's criminal.
I mean, if Anthony Joshua fights 3 or 4 times a year, you know that's just going to be pay-per-view the same way that it was for Tyson, right? I mean, even when Tyson fought somebody who was shit, they still put it on pay-per-view because it was Tyson. I mean, that's what they're going to do, because if you're that big of a star, you can do it.
The house is going to collapse at some point. I mean, what did Russ say there when that 10 pay-per-views was coming in? Next year, or did he say 2020?
Can't remember what he said, Andy.
As Tommy says, it's criminal anyway.
That's the way it's going. If people are paying, they'll keep putting it on. I agree with Russ's projection, Andy, that was going to be about 750,800,000 for Joshua. I can well believe it.
Well, for Joshua Klitschko?
They're not even started.
I would think it would be more than that, no?
I was thinking about $1 million.
Yeah, I would say so.
I think this could do. Give or take 100,000. I think this could do around $1 million.
Well, yeah,
Russ said 2020. Sorry, Donny, for the 10 pay-per-views. Sorry, carry on, Donny.
No, I was just going to say Ricky Hatton did a 1.1 million in the UK, and that fight was on at 5 o'clock in the morning. I mean, this is Anthony Joshua. It's going to be in the UK. It's going to be at a reasonable hour, and he's a huge star. And I mean, he did what they do for like Prince Charles Martin. Didn't he do like 400,000 or something like that? I mean, or 450. I mean, I think it's got to break $1 million.
I don't think it'll be far away. I don't think it'll be far away from $1 million.
I think even started the promotion for that yet. So we're going to overdrive in the next couple of weeks, I suppose.
Get off Twitter, Andy. Delete your account for a month.
I might just do that. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try that for a couple of days to see, because it's meant to be quite therapeutic. So I might just try it, because it's a sewer of fucking subhumanity.
A bit like our chat.
I mean, that's a fight.
Use the next month, because it's going to be unwatchable, isn't it? Every fucking day it's going to be Klitschko against Joshua. Fuck, you know.
That's a fight that's deserving of the promotional hype, though. I mean, that's a big fight, and I mean, you know, I think personally, I think it's about 50-50 as to what's going to really happen. And I know Andy isn't the. I mean, I know I'm picking Klitschko personally. I think Andy is too.
Donny, I am as well, by the way, Donny. But I don't mind the hype, Donny. I don't know whether the guys will back me up on this. It's whenever they start going over into bullshit territory that annoys me. Like they tell out and out lies, Donny. You know, that's not hype.
Like Triple G and Kell Brook are 2 of the top 10 pound for pound fighters. Shit like that.
Yeah,
I guess
that's just lies, you know.
Right, talking of big pay-per-view stars, Tommy, we've seen Carl Froch looking in pretty good nick in the gym. He's been sparring with Anthony Fowler. Sky Sports have asked the question. Froch seems to be toying with the idea of coming back for a decider with Mikael Kessler, who's also coming back. What do you think about this, Tommy?
How do we know? Is that Anthony Fowler actually? Has he actually spoke about this on Twitter?
No, I don't think so. It's conjecture at the moment.
No, I'm saying he actually spoke about sparring Carl Froch on Twitter. He never fucking shut up about it,
Once or twice it was brought to our attention.
Anyway, I will come back. He's admitted it. And Carl Froch is looking in unbelievable shape. He's sparring. I can see him coming back. I think he's still got I think he might still be the bug for it. He can still make money. So
Eddie Hearn just wanked himself thinking about that pay-per-view, didn't he?
I always thought he would have came back, but see if he had the nose job, he's I'm not coming back. No, he's had his nose and that done, but he must be getting frisky again. He must be wanting it. I don't think there's much point in the third case stuff. I think Froch would beat him again. Froch will definitely have more left in the tank. The last fight, I thought Kessler looked horrible. His timing was gone. He was always somebody that had good timing as well, but it was just his warrior spirit kind of kept him in that fight, didn't it? But
does anyone think he might have looked at the fight with Jacobs and said to himself, maybe Golovkin slipping, and now that Golovkin is a bigger star and the fight might actually pay?
Possible.
Maybe he's thinking
that's possible, mate. Definitely possible.
Yeah. And I think it is possible, and not only that, but Carl Froch was always the type of guy that stayed at the gym all the time, ate the right things, didn't really. I mean, he always has kept himself in shape. I don't think for him to come back, I think that like for other people it would be more of an imposition and more of a change of lifestyle. But it seems to me that like Carl Froch is the type of guy who's always stayed in shape anyway. It's kind of like the way Floyd does, you know what I mean? Where Floyd was able to take some time off and then just come back, I mean, I'm not comparing the two, obviously, in terms of their accomplishments in the ring, but in terms of the way that they sort of live that Spartan life of a fighter, I think they both do. And I think that, Carl Froch always walked around his fighting weight. I think he could easily come back and still be pretty much close to what he was. If I mean, the only thing that would deteriorate him is age, but I don't think time out of the ring will hurt him that much.
But he was talking last year still. He talks about this a lot. Like when he does his sprints and that, he's always kept times and that. It's maybe about a year and a half ago he was talking about it again, and he said his times hadn't dropped dramatically or that. So he probably is still. He is a guy that keeps himself fit, so he probably will be sharp. I think it'd be interesting if they fought where about he'd fight, because that could be a big fight in America as well. They could say that's the kind of fight that could be on in America. It could be HBO pay-per-view over there, and it could be Sky pay-per-view here during the night as well. Two of them would make an absolute fortune.
Thing is, though, Tommy, like you said about Kessler's timing being off, would it not be more of a case of Froch is coming out of retirement, Kessler's coming out of retirement, they're both fighting each other on pay-per-view? Does it not reek to you a little bit of the sort of novelty pantomime effect, the way Hatton fought Senchenko, something like that? It doesn't seem like real to me. It seems like they're more drawing off the pantomime aspect.
You go back to the 90s, remember when Duran and Leonard and all that were fighting? They were fighting all eating at their careers and that, weren't they? They came back, they retired, they came back. It's got exactly the same kind of vibe to it and that. Yeah, definitely. They're going to come back. I think Kessler might be a better partner. I love Mikhail Kessler as a fighter. He was a big favourite of mine. Even before he fought Calzaghe, I really liked him. But I think if Froch came back and he was serious, he could probably maybe still do a bit of damage, but back for this one payday, and that's not really a fight that interests me, Kessler, to be honest.
If Froch has been serious, right, I mean, you're seeing some comments now that apparently he's wanting to fight at 175.
Right.
The heavyweight.
Aye, well, Kessler's talking about 168. I mean, how's he? Well, he's what, 37, 38 now, Kessler. How the hell is he still making 12 stone? Guy's massive. You could just see him. I don't think he could actually hold it up at light heavy.
If anything, Froch, it would have been tighter. Froch, it would have been looking for 160. I think Kessler's bigger than him, to be honest.
Well, I mean, look, if they were only come back to fight each other, there would be no title involved. So who says they need to even go to a weight class anyways? They could just do it at a catch weight.
Even worse, Donny. Even more novelty then. I mean...
Yeah. I mean, well, it was funny. I was just someone... it was Tommy just mentioned Duran Leonard 3. I just want to point out one of the worst and most pointless trilogy, the third installment of a trilogy ever. However, one of the best taglines I think in fight history, which was "Uno más." One instead of no mas, one more. Yeah,
that was shit, man. That was one of the. I've said this before. It was one of the fights that it had enough name value to trade on it, And fucking Eve Leonard demanded a catch weight for that fight as well. It was absolute shit. I mean, it was really that bad that the fans actually even booed. Horrible.
Couple of points, Andy, just before we close the Froch Kessler talk. Russ was just texting me there saying that Froch walks around at around 186 pounds, but just putting that aside, Andy, I'm just thinking about Kessler. He's one of these guys who's had loads of injuries throughout his career. It feels like he should maybe... Do you remember he was going to retire at one point around the Mundine fight because he had a real bad back that he didn't think could be fixed. Then he had elbow problems. He retired at the end because he couldn't see and his eye was really bad. I mean, you know, he shouldn't really be carrying on.
Well, I remember quite a few of these injuries actually. It's like Tommy, I've always been a big Kessler fan. I used to get his fights on Eurosport as well, so I kind of watched him coming up. As you say, he did have a back problem that's kind of hindered him actually running about the Mundine fight. I'm sure he's actually had a few surgeries on his right hand. I remember when he was sparring George Groves, you seen him putting on his protective gloves rather than actually wrapping his hands up. The eye injury, you know, some people going about, you know, well, he shouldn't be fighting if that's the case. For what I read, at least, he'd been to German and Danish specialists, and it was just a muscle in the eye that needed complete rest, so he had to retire, no sparring, no training and stuff, and they let it kind of heal naturally. It was around about that time actually. I think it was really after the kind of Kawasaki fight. He claimed that he was starting to have the eye problem, and as Tommy says, his timing's been off and stuff. I mean, he used to throw this quality right uppercut. You know, if you go and watch a Kawasaki fight, you'll see him catching him about 3 or 4 times during that fight. Never really saw that same timing off Kessler as his career kind of got into the second half after Kawasaki and that. And what's he going to be doing now at 38? I mean, he's got enough name value, as I say, in Denmark. I know he's got property out in Monaco and stuff, so he's probably got some money kind of tucked aside. But this has got to be a money job, in all honesty, because think about it. I mean, if Froch is really serious about coming out of retirement, you can bet your bottom dollar that Eddie Hearn's just going to wank himself into a lather that he's going to put that third fight on pay-per-view now. You know, there was talk of Kessler going to this new tournament that Sutherland and Dickie Schaefer have made up. Was it called the World Super Boxing Classic, whatever it's called or something? Yeah. But even then, they were talking about that's going to be top 15 fighters, and Kessler's not even ranked, so he's going to have some sort of kind of fights to get ranked. In Denmark, I suppose. I don't know who he could fight. Coming. He's not going to go right into a Froch freaking third fight straight away, surely, Christ. So he's going to have some sort of kind of warm-ups, probably a catch weight. But his best bet if he's going to fight Froch would be to fight a catch weight as well, because I think he's really depleting his fucking energy going down to 168. But you just don't know what he's had left. He's been in the ring for 4 years, you know. So I would just basically say stay retired if you can. But if he's needing the money, then what can you do?
Anything to add, Tommy, or should we move on?
Let's move on, man. As I say,
he's going to have the punch.
It's not really a fight that interests me. If Froch is going to come back, I'd like to see him in serious fights. I think Mikael's probably done.
Okay, that'll do. We'll move on. A couple of corrections from last week, corrections or clarifications, really. Sorry, I have a few texts coming in here. Tommy, we were talking about the Kazakhstan, and I think you said that Kazakhstan fighters don't really fight for European titles too often, and I was thinking to myself afterwards, Bellew, a super bantamweight from back in the day who fought Bernard Dunn for the European title, and he also got knocked out by Michael Hunter in Hartlepool for the European title. So that was just a bit of clarification, no real great interest. And also, I was watching Kid Diamond against Nate Campbell on YouTube, and I'd said that Diamond was from Kazakhstan, but as Jim Lampley reminds me, I'm sure everyone's desperate to know about this, he's actually from Kyrgyzstan. So sorry about that to all our listeners. Yeah. Unforgivable stuff.
That was some performance with Campbell in that. That was some performance with Campbell in that fight. He was in the favour to win that. He done a job on Diamond, didn't he?
Campbell was brilliant, wasn't he? I really liked him.
Really good fighter.
Also, Canelo has been sparring with light heavyweight Vyacheslav Shabransky, apparently because he matches up a bit like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., so that's a bit of information I thought I would throw in.
Well, but I've just talked about Chavez, by the way. You've seen his fucking state of him just now. He is absolutely fucking shredded right down to the bone just about.
He looks good. He looks good, Andy.
Donny smells the upset.
But Donny, he's still in like the high 170s. He's got like another 13 pounds to go.
Yeah, but you could take off 10 pounds of water weight though, easy.
I think he was.
Depends what he's got left to give, man. When's the fight? A month?
Yeah. I mean, he's got a month to just. I mean, look, Chavez is used to cutting. I mean, look, I mean, he weighed in at 160 for Martinez. Now I know that's 4 years ago, but I'm just saying, you know, he weighed at 160. He came to the ring that night at almost 190, right? So that means that he was rehydrating almost 30 pounds. So I mean, he only has to get to 165 for this. So, you know, I mean, if he's and that was, and you know, when he was training for Martinez, as we all saw on the 24/7. He was walking around eating cereal in pink underwear and doing his workouts at home. I mean, he wasn't training the way he's training right now. I mean, right now he's training very seriously. As a matter of fact, he went into training camp as soon as his last fight ended, just to stay in shape.
Aye, and he's in the saunas just now trying to fucking keep the weight off.
Yeah, well, if that's what he's got to do. But if he can come in there, basically, if he can make that weight and not kill himself to make that weight, I think Canelo could be in for a tough fight. I really do. I don't know. I don't know. I can see the hunger. Like, I mean, he's not.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you, man. I think he's fucking taking this serious. And
well, you know what it is? I think he's taking it seriously because, I mean, he realizes what this means. Like, I mean, you know, his whole life he's just lived in his father's shadow, and you know, and he's. I mean, all right, he gave that good account of himself against Martinez. Everybody knew he wasn't ready for the fight, but he went for it. And he didn't give up. And in the 12th round, he almost turned the tide. Okay, whatever. But then, you know, there was the weed and all the time out of the ring and all that kind of stuff. And you know, and not never being in shape to fight and having to kill himself to make weight. And everybody knew he wasn't taking it seriously. And now this is a fight that's going to define his legacy. That's going to define the Chavez name forever, right? You know, like against Canelo. I mean, this is going to be so huge. And I mean, I feel like he doesn't want to let down not only just the Mexican people, but also his dad, right? And the whole legacy. I mean, this is, I think, what he's lived for. And I think that even if he never gives everything 100% again, he has to do it for this fight because he realizes what it means for Mexico, what it means for his dad, what it means for everything. And it seems to me like, and you know, he's training in Mexico and he's got a Mexican trainer with Nacho. I think that it means something to him. And I just get the sense that he's really going to leave it all in the ring. I could be totally wrong, but I get the sense that he's matured and he's taking this with the seriousness that it demands.
He's also got Memo inside as well, so
yeah. Well, I know, and then yeah, you know he'll make the weight good. Then you know you can't beat Nemo's shit.
I actually do hope. I everybody knows I'm not a big Chavez fan. I actually hate the guy. He's overrated. He never was rated. Actually, I just thought he was playing at it. But see, at the same time, as I fucking hope he pulls this off. I fucking really do.
Yeah,
the trolling would be fucking. It would be epic.
Well, you know, the other thing too is that I mean, you know, you could say what you want about him. He may not train as well, but he's first of all, he's got his dad's chin. That's number one, and number two is, I mean, when he goes in there, he may not have trained the way he should have supposed to have trained before he was going into the fight. But when he does get in there, he gives it all. I mean, like, you know, we've seen him take hellacious beatings and just keep coming. You know, I mean, he's a tough fighter. I mean, I know that one time he quit with his ankle or whatever. That was some bullshit. But, I mean, you know, in general, I mean, you know, he always gives it all when he gets in the ring. He may not give it all in camp, but he always gives it all when he gets into the ring. And this time he's actually giving it all in camp. So I think when you put those two things together, a really good training camp and a kind of warrior spirit, I think I'm not saying Canelo's going to lose. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if Canelo takes him lightly or thinks that he's a joke, I think that Canelo maybe get a rude awakening come Cinco de Mayo.
I tend to agree with Donnie here. I've always seen I've never seen an elite fighter, but I think he's underrated. See, around about the time when he beat Rubio, he beat Andy Lee, and he almost had Martinez in the last round. I think he looked pretty good. I think he looked pretty good back then. If he can get back to that and be strong, I don't think it's an easy fight for Canelo at all. Obviously, I'm going to hold off making an exact prediction on the I'm actually want to see how Chavez looks on the scales first. I think that's going to be the big factor in the fight, is obviously the weight. So wait and see how he looks on the scales, and then it's going to be a good fight. I know, but if he's right, I think it's a good fight. And it'll go to the cards. I don't think Canelo will knock him out like some are suggesting.
Right, let's get a few quick fire questions in before we move on to our previews. 3 or 4 more questions, and then we shall indeed move on. Bit of a light-hearted one for you, Andy, from Michael Aitor on the Facebook page. He said, lads, who do you consider the more despicable character, or Eddie Hearn? Bit harsh on Smido, that, Andy.
Sorry, mate, you cut out there a wee bit. Can you read that again, please?
Oh, sorry. Michael Aitor was saying, who do you think is the more despicable character, Adam Smith or Eddie Hearn?
Well, you know, Adam Smith did have
I'd go with Smith.
Adam Smith did have Adonis Stevenson in his pound for pound list, so I think we're gonna have to go with Adam Smith.
So I think it's our Speedo, yeah.
No,
I know we're talking about the other
creepy Adam Smith.
Oh, that's a shame because I was going to put Speedo up for it. Who's the biggest cunt?
Well, the most despicable, but whatever, I suppose. Yeah.
Got to go behead because it's all about the money, innit? So I wish I could. If the bear wasn't sleeping just now, I'd love to try and pull off a Jerry Maguire here just now. You know, show me the money, baby. That's all it's about.
Well, I think a better question would have been who's a bigger cunt, Spencer or Eddie.
It's got to be Eddie, man, because it's all about the money, innit? It's all about money, fuck the good fights and stuff. I mean, you just talk about like you said, Roman Gonzalez against the Taifel and stuff like that. Used to be a kind of norm. You used to get a top challenger challenging a champion. And that. See the champions that fucking Hearns got. How often do they get challenged?
Well, Anthony Joshua is going with Vladimir Klitschko next month.
Well,
a pal of mine from back home, right? He's got the fight pass in that. He tried to get tickets on Wednesday he tried to get as well on the other day for the fight. He couldn't get them a fight pass. I was on the United website for an hour and 20 minutes the next day trying to get a ticket. Sat for an hour and 20 minutes like a fucking dickhead, and then it crashed at the end when it was the bit where he got a ticket, man. So I'm not going to the fight now. I'm pissed off, man. That's it. I'm not paying the road for a ticket again for a Hearn show. Fuck that.
Same, mate. That's the reason why
I'll go and watch wee fucking Carlos fighting. A better fight anyway.
See the admin fees that they're charging, you know, for what, like sometimes people are getting charged like 20 quid. I mean, what they're doing, like, you got a guy sitting in an office who's fucking basically printing off a ticket, stick it in an envelope, it's already been pre-printed for you, it gets fucking franked to a stamp on it, so that's it. Fucking job done. So how's that working worth 10, 15, 20 quid someone's fucking money?
It's not. It's just that, like, I mean, you know, it's like over here, like when you guys, yeah, like, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but like when you go to I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that if you're in the UK or something and you look at the price on a shelf, it actually is that price. Whereas, like, if you're in the US, it's like assuming like excise taxes and sales taxes. It's like way of advertising.
Should maybe just get ticket prices up just now, actually, so kind of, you know, let you know what I'm talking about. Because
what I'm saying is that, like, in other words, like, they'll say that tickets start at £50 or something, and you're like, oh, £50, I can afford that, and then you go and you take out your ticket and you buy it, and then when you get to the checkout, you know, it turns out to be like £65, and you're like, well, you already got it now. You know what I mean? It's like they lure you in with the lower price, and then it's like a bait and switch.
That's like shopping in America, Donny.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Exactly. Yeah.
But did they not say?
I always get stung by that every time I come over. Sorry, Andy.
Did they not say that we're going to put them up on the website? It was going to be face value. Then when folk got signed in and stuff, it was well marked up by that point. Let's see if I can get them on StubHub here. Just wanted to have a check at these ticket prices. Give me 2 seconds.
You bring them up, Andy, and I'll ask Tommy a question while you're doing that, okay? Right, Tommy, Dan Grantham is asking, well, back to Kessler again. Do you think Kessler could win another title at super middleweight, Tommy?
I think it's going to be a big ask for him. As super middleweight's quite a good division. I don't know what you're going to hear. I don't think you're going to beat James DeGale for a start, right? Against Callum Smith, he beat them. I don't think he's a world class fighter anymore, is he? You know what I mean? I think the Mexican guy would beat his ass.
Ramirez.
Who's got the other title super middleweight? Zwiga, the German kid.
Yeah.
If it's that Tyrone Zwiga, isn't it?
Yeah, and DeGale has the IBF, doesn't he?
Aye. Ramirez got the WO, DeGale's got the IBF. I think that Zwiga's got the WBA and the WBC's vacant, but Smith and DeGale are fighting for it.
That's right.
If he came back as Zwiga, maybe somebody like him, he could maybe beat him. He could maybe beat guys like Arthur Abraham and that still, but seeing him being an elite fighter in the super middleweight division again, nah. I wouldn't hang my hat on him being a champion again.
Back with us, Andy?
I'm here, mate. I'm just kind of going through the prices and that anyway. Like 2 tickets for 110 quid. Fucking sitting, like, literally, you need a fucking set of binoculars, actually. You're in one of the stands behind the goals. right? So you can imagine he put the rings actually in the centre circle. So imagine trying to see fucking two guys fighting if your seat's kind of low down at pitch level way, and you've got all these folks sitting in front of you, kind of like on the pitch and that. So let's just look at some of the prices here. What's that for ringside there? £650, right? That's for ringside. I see tickets going for like £66 in one of the other stands, and then the same stand's going for £80. It's a fucking joke.
So I tweeted during the week, right? See, for me to go to Vegas, right? Flights, hotel included, and a ticket, a good seat for a Ward against Kovalev. It cost me. It was just over £1,100 for the lot, right? Seat at David against Tony Bellew. I'll include the hotel and flights and that as well for 2 days. It cost me £1,500. That's what you're dealing with here, and you know, it's just the prices he's talking about. He's just bleeding money dry out the fans. It's pay-per-view. We need pay-per-view. Then they've got these prices and that for the seats and that. It's no right. I'm serious. I was going to go to the Burns fight. I was going to go to Brook. I'm not giving him any more money. I'm done with it. I'm done with him.
I'm actually thinking we got the Hydro, see if I can get tickets myself for it, see if there's some way I can just actually get round about and not have to pay the extra fucking dosh and all that sort of stuff. It's not that he fucking, you know, he can't afford it. Why the fuck should we keep getting ripped off for these fucking shitty fights? You know,
the last three big Hearn fights I've been to, I've paid well over the odds for the tickets and that. So
well, the thing is that with StubHub or whatever, you're right. I mean, all these prices do get inflated, and it's totally unfair. However, if you are patient and you're willing to maybe go to the venue and just, you know, kind of see what happens. Like, for instance, when I was in New York with Tommy, our buddy Jack Rathborn had an extra ticket that he paid $400 for, US, and I mean, he was able to unload it for $150, right? So that person who bought it got a good deal. I don't know if it was face value, but it was probably less. You know, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's drawbacks to it, but there's also benefits for the patient consumer.
Mm-hmm. I remember there was good deals at a fight I was at before, one of Frank Warren's shows in the Copper Box. I think it was the night, who was fighting? Huey Fury. We were over for the Jamie Conlan fight and the James Tennyson, Liam Walsh fight. So I'd actually given tickets away.
Yeah, I mean, you know what was really sad was when Andy Lee fought Billy Joe Saunders. That should have been sold out. The fact that it wasn't was a shame. I mean, if Eddie was promoting that show, that would have been sold out.
Now, there's nothing to do with the Sky Machine. The Sky Machine plays a big part in Hearn. Obviously, Hearn's obviously smart. He tapped into the social media market as well better than that. I agree with you. That fight should have been a big British fight.
Remember that fight was meant to take place in Limerick, was it no? At the rugby stadium.
It was meant to originally, aye. That's right.
Yeah.
What happened to it? What happened to it again? Did somebody get awarded?
No, just
the fight. Yeah, supposedly.
Supposedly, aye.
They hadn't even sold. They sold about 1,500 tickets, I think, and they were looking to sell 30.
Nice. It was never going to happen, So that's something I'm saying to you. I've had tickets for 3 Warden shows. I had one for Groves, Kenny Anderson 2. It fell through. I had one for Burns against. Remember, he was meant to fight. He was meant to fight Liam Walsh, and Liam Walsh got hurt, and the other guy came in, and then when he pulled it, so I was landed with flights and digs for that as well, and then obviously Fury as well. And I'm kind of wary of buying tickets for Warden shows as well. I've had my hands bumped.
If only Adrian Broner pulled out as frequently as the main event of a Warren fight.
Exactly.
Right. Let's move on. I'm conscious of my sound dipping in and out. Dan Grantham's asked you a second question. I'm sure you're going to be buzzing for this one. What do you think about the possible Chisora versus Helenius rematch?
Oh, really? I didn't even know this fight was even being kind of... Is that being discussed, really?
I think it's as good as signed.
I mean, what the hell has Helenius done recently? I mean, has he fought anybody of note?
He fought in Estonia because one of my friends was actually there because there was a couple of...
Well, you know, that's when you've really made it, Steve. Then you're fighting in Estonia.
that's when you really arrived. It's really it's actually the new Las Vegas of the Far East. Eastern Europe. But no, I mean, I mean, of course, Chisora would even a faded Chisora would beat the hell out of him, just like he did the first time, even though he didn't get the decision. I mean, yeah, Helenius is a joke, and obviously, if Chisora can make some money from that fight, God bless him. He should take it.
I think Dale obviously won the first fight, didn't he? We all know that, and seen Helenius lately in that. I've not seen all these fights, but after I seen the Constantine, Rook fight, I seen clips of that fight with that Johan Duapis and shit in that fight, like, so. It's a fight, even though Dale's faded, Helenius, he's got to be even more faded, isn't he? So big Dale boy should take him out.
Right, Tommy, stay on the line. Question from John Swan, the final one of this section. The biggest fights this century, not screened live anywhere legally in the UK, but were available on a stream. Now, John says, my entry is my major event, but was extremely difficult to get a live stream for, even though I did manage it in the end. I threw in Froch versus Taylor, Tommy.
Was Froch v Taylor not on the telly here? Was that no Taylor?
No, you had to go on.
It was only like 2 or 3 day delay, I'm sure it was.
Wait, are you saying that Froch versus Taylor wasn't live in the UK?
No. They showed it on ITV the next night, I think.
But it was on Showtime. I remember watching that myself.
Yeah, but it was never shown. Yeah. They actually gave it away for free to ITV, I'm sure. It
was on a stream. Hennessy put it on a stream. You had to pay a tenner.
Wait a minute. That's right. I did watch that on a stream that night. We were at... I remember noon that me and Kurt and that were looking for streams for it that night. That's right, aye. So
what was that, about 2011?
I can't really think of it off the top of my head. I think we've been quite lucky over the years in that. We've had Satana, obviously, Sky have showed the odd fight, and then now we've got Box Nation with it was like back in 2004 and that when there was no streams and stuff like that. But they're quite lucky in that now. We missed a lot of Roy Jones' career and that which was sad. Was Roy Jones Clinton Woods wasn't shown live, was it? That was next year.
Delayed on the BBC, wasn't it?
That fight, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe something like that, but I think we're actually quite lucky here with the coverage of boxing that we get.
Okay. Anything to add, Andy, or should we move on?
No, I'll move on, mate.
Right, hopefully everybody can Saturday the 8th of April, Frank Warren Promotions. Really, let's go through a few of the better offerings. Now, I think that given the fact that Terry Flanigan versus Peter Petrov is for Flanagan's world title, that is the nominal main event. But the one I'm looking forward to the most is Liam Williams against Liam Smith. We've also got Zolani Tete returning against Arthur Villanova. Jack Cattrall fights against Martin Gethin. We've also got Jimmy Kelly against Rick Godding. Let's look down the card. Nicola Adams is making her pro debut. This Daniel Dubois. Frank seems pretty high on him. Jordan Thompson is fighting Yevgeny Andreevs. Andy, let's go to you first. Williams against Smith is the one I'm looking forward to. I'm going for Williams in this one, actually. What do you think?
Yeah, I hope so anyway. He's only 24, he's still improving. There's this thing about Liam Williams is sometimes he can get dragged into his fucking, all out war sometimes if he gets kind of emotionally involved. But I think it's gonna be a really tough fight for him. As long as he kind of just watches for the left hook and that, he's going to be fine. It'll be like the usual kind of Gallagher type fighter and that. He'll just come in with the hands up, Dana Hunt for 6 rounds, by which point Liam Williams has probably got maybe say like a 4-2 lead. And then maybe Smith will start trying to put it on him, maybe try and use a wee bit of that experience. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this fight. It was one of the more domestic fights I was looking forward to this year. Surprised we're getting it kind of soon as well. But yeah, I'm going with Williams, mate. Probably on points. And as I said, hopefully he does pull it off, because I want to see Joel Gallagher take another fucking huge loss, and just Twitter would be tremendous next Saturday, because Gallagher just be getting ready for the dog lead wrap around his neck.
It's funny you should say that, actually. Tommy, Barry Smith, BN, has asked us a question regarding that. He says, is Joe Gallagher done, Tommy, if Smith loses on Saturday night? Simple as that.
It's not looking good for him, the new, It's just after his big run in that, however many fights he won, he's hardly won a fight since. Starting to see his fighters quigs away from him in that now. How long can you go on losing fights? And it's not just that he's losing the fights; they're losing the fights in the same manner all the time. As Andy says, high guard, walk forward for 4 or 5 rounds, no throwing a punch in that. Same game plan every single time. Doesn't look like he's got a plan B, does it? So I think we might see one or two starting to leave.
Did anyone hear the rumor that Joe Gallagher is going to train Cornelius Bundridge?
I heard that. Well, there've been some rumours going about that maybe Crawler. Shortly.
Yeah, because we all know that he does love a good canine, but so yeah.
There's even talk about Crawler leaving him when he comes back off holiday and that. So you can just imagine another L for for that gym. Paul Smith's career going into irrelevance. Liam Smith losing 2 in the trot by
I think a lot's going to depend on what happens with Callum Smith. Callum, we've had the debate in here, is he or is he no world class?
It's true what some say that maybe Swifty's the best fighter in that gym. Maybe it's true what they say that Swifty's the best fighter in that gym.
Who's Callum Smith got next?
Darrell. Anthony Darrell.
When's that?
Don't know the dates off the top of my head.
Is that fight actually finalised? I don't know if they've got a date for that yet, have they?
I don't think so. It's in America, though. I don't know. Because wasn't Smith supposed to be fighting Schiller Hippolyte or something?
That Wilforce Shepov, or whatever you fucking call him, mate. Hang on, just get his details up now. Like, Brock's not got that fight.
Wilberforce, yeah.
No, Smith was supposed to fight Schiller Hippolyte, wasn't he, the Canadian?
What was that on the card?
Can't remember, Tommy. I'm getting mixed up now. Anyway,
I'm having another tune-up. I saw something like that.
No, I think he's straight to Durrell now. Let's get back to this card anyway, Dommy. Liam Williams against Liam Smith. You've probably not seen a great deal about Liam Williams. I could be doing you a disservice, Donny, but you've obviously seen Smith, world title reign of terror, and then his amazing performance against Canelo. What do you think?
You know what? Yeah, you're not doing me disservice. I haven't seen that much Liam Williams. I'm gonna defer to Andy or Tommy on that one. I'm sorry.
What about Flanigan Petrov then? While you're on the call, Tommy? Donny. Sorry.
Is that Peter the Pole?
Petrov. I'm sure he fought Chino.
He fought Madonna. Madonna beat him in 4 rounds.
Oh yeah.
He's fighting Flanigan.
Yeah, no, I don't feel like that's is that anticipated to be a very competitive fight?
A lot of people are thinking it is going to be competitive, but I've seen Petrov two or three times, and if Flanagan is a fighter, he should be dealing with him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about. I would just think, like, just based on what I roughly know about both of those fighters, I would think that Flanagan would win that fight. But if some people are saying it'd be competitive, then maybe, they probably know more than me.
Well, to be honest, for what I remember of Petrov, obviously, apart from the Chino knockout, I know he'd went to Montenegro and he got beat off Slatty Cannon.
Did he fight Terence Crawford as well?
No, he hasn't. But I'm sure he went into some sort of kind of ESPN boxing tournament. So you just don't know. I never saw it, but it must be.
He beat Gamil Diaz. He beat Diaz, didn't he?
Aye. He's ex-world champ. It was over 10 rounds and stuff.
Do you know who he lost to, Andy? Do you remember Vitaly Tybut?
Vitaly Tybut?
He was based in Germany. Excuse me. He beat Petrov Petrov turned pro in 2000.
Right. I've just got his record up there. He's ex-world champion, I see. Ex-European champ as well.
Yeah, Tybut. He was one of the fighters, that we were mentioning all these fighters in Germany. He was one of them coming through.
I can't remember much about him, mate. Just see if I can... No.
Don't worry too much about that. Right, Russ is back on with us. Russ, tell me about this Smith fight. Who you got?
Yeah, mate.
Liam Smith versus Liam Williams. Who you got?
I've got Liam Williams beating him by knockout, body shots, stopping him beefy. I think he's a strong kid. He does weight brilliantly, and who's Liam Williams beats? I keep looking at Liam. Who's Liam Smith beat? Who's Liam Smith's best win? It's in with Jam Bottoms, isn't it? Kelly, innit?
He sounds like Bellew right now. Who's he beat?
jumps out at me apart from Canelo. I mean, they say Kell Brook's not beat anybody, but he's got Portland on his record and a Golovkin defeat. Well, Beefy Smith's got a defeat to Canelo, and he's got a win on his record, isn't it? He's the guy who got the WBO belt fighting a guy ranked 77 when he ranked.
Yeah.
He fought a guy ranked 77 for vacant belt, didn't he? I mean, what does that say about the WBO? When they're going about the IBO, it's not as good as that. So it's rhubarb, mate, utter rhubarb. And I think Liam Williams will do him some damage. I think he's really, really good at rating, mate. He's one of them that's gone under the radar because Frank had Liam Smith with belt. Liam Smith didn't want to fight him when he was champion, did he?
No.
Yeah, he kept going a different route to him, didn't he? Well, now he's had to fight him, hasn't he? So I think he'll beat it. I think Joe Gallagher will end up working at Poundland.
What about Flanigan against Petrov, Russ?
I think Flanigan will beat him. I think he'll beat him on points. I don't think he's a big Flanigan, but I think he'll beat him on points. But his career's petered out on it, really. But you've only got Eddie Hearn to blame for that. Conor were offered £500,000 for it. Now they're saying that Conor's going to have £1 million. How's Conor going to get £1 million fighting Flanigan unless it's pay-per-view?
Yeah.
But you'd have thought Conor would have had a pay-per-view by now, wouldn't you? Because if he can give Kell Brook a pay-per-view, he's second. Surely Conor must have deserved when he sells more tickets. He's got maybe a similar resume. I don't know.
Donnie, do you want to say something?
Well, I mean, I was going to say, the reason why Kell Brook can get a pay-per-view is and maybe Krolla can't is because, in the last 5 years, welterweight division has been the high rent district of boxing. Kell Brook, he's always seemingly like one fight away from like getting like a huge matchup with, some of the elite welterweights, stars and everything like that. And when you're fighting in, it's kind of weird. It's like, even though I don't think that, Kell Brook would ever get a fight with Pacquiao or Mayweather or any of the huge names. Well, like, he's in that neighborhood, and because he's in the weight class, and so I feel like it just, and also too, with the PBC and they're overpaying guys and everything like that, who are fighting in that division. I feel like in order to just make any fight, even a reasonably good fight in that division, you need to shell out a lot of money. And so that's why in order to meet the payday for Spence, they needed to put it on pay-per-view. Like I said, it's the welterweight division, whether deservingly or not, is like the high rent district of boxing. If you're going to fight there, money is going to have to be shelled out.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, that, Danny, yeah.
Ross, talk to me about the rest of the card briefly before we just put you on mute and get the guys in.
Who was the rest of the card? Adam Etches.
Jack Cattrall's on, Jimmy Kelly.
Jack Cattrall, Jimmy Kelly. I don't rate that Jimmy Kelly. People are going to see him fight. Who is he fighting?
Jack Cattrall. Oh, Jimmy Kelly's fighting Rick Godding.
I've never heard of him. And Jimmy Kelly's pony is not even English level. He's not even in the southern area. And who's that other one? Dennis Scott has to work with him, be an agent for Jack Cattrall against Zeb Judah. Dennis could have been Zeb Judah's agent. That was about 9 months ago, right? He was going to come up with Zeb Judah and fight him, or he might have been actually going over there, but it didn't happen. It all fell through. But Jack Cattrall, actually, we really rate him. But he seems to have got he doesn't seem to get named, does he? As a division, he's like Flanigan. He's not well known, is he? But he's like a good fighter, isn't he? He's good level.
Yeah.
And not profile. That's the word, isn't it, Steve? Profile. He's not got the profile, has he?
No. He beat Stalker. He beat Stalker, didn't he, Cattrall? And now he hasn't really done anything since. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't rate that Stalker anyway. Nice enough kid.
Yeah.
But I thought he left it too late going to that other Olympics when he was in his mid-20s. I think he should have turned pro, but he went on too long in amateurs. That's my opinion anyway. And I think that's going to happen with in Olympics, as amateur.
Yeah. Right, Russ, I think you've got a story for us shortly. I'm going to mute you briefly and then we'll come back to you in a minute after Lomachenko, okay?
Right.
Cheers.
No problem, right.
Right. Donnie, Andy, Tommy, anything about Cattrall or Kelly, or should we move on to Lomachenko?
I think Kelly. I think Kelly's fighting 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 Kelly. I think Kelly's fi
Fuck, no, man.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
No, I don't want to talk about the bums. I mean, you want to spend like maybe an extra half hour on speaking about Nicola Adams.
I'll just say about Cartel and that. Now that the Warren's got the deal with BT, he's in one of the group of fighters where it's going to need to happen for him. So like Liam Walsh badly skeeting that. They've been on the outskirts of that for a few years now. So this is they've really got to crack on now.
Hopefully they even see Zolani Tete actually get a wee bit more kind of exposure as well, because obviously he was signed with Frank Warren thinking about okay, he's going to be fighting regularly. It hasn't really kind of happened that way, so hopefully we can see him getting the kind of bigger fights now as well, because I noticed that fight's actually I think it's a middleweight, sort of bantamweight title eliminator for WBO, so I think that's in Cajas or something. So
I wanted to ask, how far away in weight are Nicola Adams and Claressa Shields?
Massive.
Yeah, she's a super fly, isn't she, Adams, I think?
She's small as anything. I think fucking Shields, she's a fucking man, isn't she?
Yeah, no, she's a middleweight, yeah. What about, where's Katie Taylor in weight?
She's super feather.
So is that something that could happen? I mean, like, what are the big fights that you can put together in women's boxing right now? I mean...
None.
I see kind of like the girls that are stars are all kind of scattered around the weight divisions.
Yeah.
Talking about Christina Hammer last night at middleweight, they're talking about Clarissa Shields when we fighting her, but Clarissa Shields a welterweight, isn't she? So she's going to need to move up. It's Katie Taylor's a 2 or 3 weights below Clarissa Shields in that as well. I
say this to the wife actually.
Is she a welterweight?
No, she's a welterweight, mate. But as I say to the wife actually, when the Brackus's last fight, you've got a sprinkling of like a really top female fighters, but the fucking talent pool's that bad that they can't really get decent challenges, decent fighters. I mean, Brackus is pretty much heavily favoured every fight she fights. Same with Hammer. But I suppose Brackus is the only one that actually fought other champs and unified all the belts and stuff. So she's undisputed, but other guys are not even doing that, So.
Right, let's move on across the pond. This is Donny's area in Maryland, USA. This is a really good card on paper. Fair play to Bob Arum and his matchmaker, Brad Goodman. You got Vasyl Lomachenko defending his WBO super featherweight title against Jason Sosa. You got Alexander Usyk defending his title against undefeated Michael Hunter. Then you've got Alexander Gvozdyk in a really good fight against Yunieski Gonzalez.
Wait, let's get this straight. Wait, so he's fighting Mike Hunt?
I thought that was going to be a worthwhile interruption.
Sorry, go ahead.
And then we've got Edius Kavaliauskas against Ramses Agaton as well. Right, Donny, I'm going to come to you first. Or Usyk against Mike Hunt.
Wait, so it's Lomachenko versus Sosa, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, look, Jason Sosa put on a good account of himself. A lot of people said that Sosa did not deserve that draw against Nicholas Walters. I actually thought that fight was closer than some people thought. I mean, it wasn't a good decision, but I don't think it was outrageous. I mean, he is a good fighter. And then he came back, and then Sosa came back and fought that guy in, I think it was like China, and who did he beat over there? I forget. It was somebody.
Fortuny. Javier Fortuny.
Yeah, and that was a good performance. I mean, Sosa's a credible opponent. I have no problem with the fight. I mean, it's a fight, but the only thing about it is that it's a fight we all know Lomachenko could win. I mean, Lomachenko is almost a victim of his own success. He's just so good that there's only a few fighters out there, really very, very, very elite fighters that can really challenge him. And if he's not going to fight those fighters, then it's not going to really pique my interest that much. And that's not to say that he's not trying to get good opponents. Just like, I mean, basically the only if Lomachenko's fighting right now like 130, like the only person that I think that like could actually beat Lomachenko is probably like Mikey Garcia. And if you're not going to fight him, I mean, like really anybody else he fights, I know he's going to win. I just know it. I know it as surely as Tuesday follows Monday, and I mean, he's just going to win. That's as simple as that.
So what do you do then? Do you just tell him to go up and wait until he actually meets his match or something? I mean, at the end of the day.
What do you do? How do you promote this guy who is such an elite talent that there's just nobody there to challenge him at his current weight class, and there's nobody there?
Well, at the bare minimum, I like to see try and unify some of the titles. He is that good. He is. I mean, it's really bad when you've got to start kind of like making like go back.
Well, the thing is, though, is that there's nobody.
Wait now. I mean, he's gone back old school. He's trying to make side bets with fucking opponents just to get him in the ring. He did it with Nicholas Walters, $300,000 just to say, right, okay, if you beat me, I'll give you an extra $300,000.
That was a fun.
That is a shit. But it's probably true that he's got to pull that shit off just to get opponents in the ring with him.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, I'm just saying. The only thing is, though, is that when Golovkin fights people at middleweight who have no chance against him, I mean, I'm not. By the way, I'm not, of course, including, Danny Jacobs in that, because obviously he did have a chance and he did very well, and a lot of people think he won. But anyways, what I'm saying though is that before he fought Danny Jacobs, he had a whole string of opponents who had really no chance against him. But the reason why the fans didn't care is because Golovkin disposes of them in such brutal and unbelievable fashion, and he knocks them out. Whereas like Lomachenko is going to take him to a decision. So it's okay to fight some B class or B plus class opposition if you get rid of them in extraordinarily explosive fashion. But Lomachenko doesn't do that. So if he's going to challenge himself, I feel like he has to go up and wait. I just don't think that any of his fights are going to be like I said, if he was fighting B class opposition and he was knocking them out brutally, people would be all like, he'd be a huge star like Golovkin is. But because he doesn't, I think that he needs to get his respect by beating people that nobody thinks he can beat.
I really like the Lomachenko against Gervonta Davis fight at super fair.
That's a good fight too. That's a good one.
I think Davis has got to do a number on Walsh, and to me that's a fight that makes sense at that weight. Get they two in together.
Exactly, because Berchelt was meant to be fighting at Maura, so that would then leave up the guy that knocked out Uchiyama, Corrales, WBA champion. I think he's a southpaw as well. Actually, I remember he knocked out Uchiyama. Did he not fight him twice? I think he had a rematch with him recently.
Yep.
So as Donny says, I mean, he is going to be too good for for most of these opponents. But he said himself, unless he's only interested in fighting like say, the best fighter available. So Sousa's okay, I suppose, but he's just recently moved up to 130. Is it a push to go to 135 right away right now? Probably no, but it's the same with Garcia though, man. Is Garcia just going to hang around about just for like that fight? He's not going to hang about any longer at 135. I mean, that guy's really going to finish up as a welterweight at some point, isn't he? He is fucking massive. You saw that against Cannon. It looked like he was a weight division, 2 weight divisions taller than bigger than the guy. So, but Lomachenko, I like to see him a wee bit more kind of active and stuff as well. But going up to lightweight, I mean, you have got some tasty fighters that you maybe want to see him kind of like school, for example, like Luke Campbell, just to kind of like just take him apart. Garcia is obviously the fight I want to see. Linares, I don't know. I mean, I would like to see that fight. He's a really good boxer. Lomachenko is just exceptional.
I notice on Sosa's record he has about 4 draws. He seems to like the draw, but I think. Do we reckon that Sosa might go the distance because of Lomachenko's fighting style, or does anybody think he's going to stop him? Or
for Lomachenko, he comes forward in that, doesn't he? Loma's just going to beat this guy up. He's a good fighter. He put a good shoulder against Swifty Smith. I thought actually Fortuna would have beat him, and we all know what happened in the Walters fight. I think Walters beat him clearly, but. He's a good honest pro, comes forward, he's tough, but he's tailor-made for Vasily Lomachenko. This was going to look like the fight with Rocky, isn't it?
To be honest, as well as his record's kind of padded as well. I mean, if you go through it, you can see that he's fought some he's fought guys that's like coming like just like serial losers like 0, 6, and 10 or whatever and stuff. So you could probably say he's maybe overachieved a wee bit. Going the distance with Walters. I remember Javier Fortuna was getting he was getting a bit of a big up at some point, but then he'd obviously think he'd picked up an interim title, lost it in the scales type of thing. Then obviously he had to go to China and win that fight, so you got to give him props for that. Then he had pretty much dominated Swifty Smith. As I say, as he's probably, as people will probably say as well, is that Smith's probably the best fighter in that gym anyway. But Lomachenko, he's going to just basically play by play. You just wonder as well as if he just does put on enough pressure, he can maybe just make him quit. But as Donny says, well, he's not got the knockout punching power. But I just think if he sets you up for the proper combination, he could turn anybody's lights out. He is that fucking good.
Right, Donny's jumped off the call. Let's power through these. Tommy, Alexander Usyk, 11-0, is fighting against Michael Hunter, 12-0. Couldn't tell you a thing about this Hunter. Looking down his record, he's fought Mike Bissett. I don't know whether that was England manager or not, but he's fought pretty much nobody, apart from in his last fight. He went in against 15-0 Isaiah Thomas for the vacant WBO and ABO title. Don't know why he's anywhere near anything resembling a world title, but Tommy, fair play for the kid for stepping up. He's going to know about it, isn't he, the step up in levels?
Definitely, man, because this kid Usyk is really, really good. Praise for him last fight against Machuno, but listen, he's only had 11 fights in that. There's a massive upside to like about him. This Michael Hunter, is this the Olympian in America? He's American Olympian.
Yes.
He's past. Usyk will destroy him. Will be pretty what it's like. Just the cruiserweight division is good. It's just we just need to get the fights made in that. I can't really say much about the fight. Usyk's levels and levels above this guy.
I'm pretty sure Petrov beat this guy. Petrov beat this guy. And Camp was it? What's the big Italian boy's name? The heavyweight.
Camarelli.
I think he beat him as well. Early the world championships or something like that. But I just want. He seems to ring a bell with me. This guy might even be a Heyman fighter. I've not seen much.
I think Hunter is a Heyman fighter, isn't he?
Is he? So this is him.
He signed. Heyman signed quite a lot of that Olympic team, didn't he?
Get fed to the slaughter, then basically.
Mm-hmm.
Usyk, baby, he's just going to come. Well, saying that as well, after this fight, I really want to see him make moves with Usyk. I want to see some unification fights coming in there. Because yes, I mean, there's obviously this talk about him dominating up at heavyweight now in the next couple of years. So I want to see him make moves shortly to get that division unified and get a clear-cut champion.
Yeah, we did have a question in. I actually forgot to ask it during the Lomachenko chat, but I think we pretty much answered it when Andy was talking about going up to lightweight, fighting Luke Campbell. Ashley Cates had asked us, do you think it would be more beneficial for Lomachenko's legacy to move up to lightweight now rather than later, given the media attention it's attracting at the moment? I think that's a fair enough comment. You know, you've got the likes of Garcia and so, excuse me. That maybe would have been advantageous for Lomachenko, but we'll see next week. Ashley, if you want to ring in next week, then feel free. Right, what else have we got here? Anyone want to say anything about Gvozdyk against Gonzalez? No?
Good fight for Gvozdyk. We all know that Gonzalez got robbed against Jean Pascal. I think basically probably everybody actually had him winning that fight. I can't remember the Shabransky fight, actually. I remember the fight taking place, but I can't remember much about it. But it's a good step up for Gvozdyk. We all know he's a talented fighter, well in there with the Lomachenko team and stuff. Good power. Amateur career up the gazoo. I mean, I think he'd got bronze medals and stuff at the Olympics, numerous other European amateur titles and stuff. So I would expect Gvozdyk to look good in this one. Obviously, the WSB experience is going to come in well as well. He's not like one of these guys. All these go only got 12-0 or whatever. He is an experienced fighter, and he'd learn far more fighting the World Series of boxing for that length of time that he did coming into the pros. So that would set him up pretty well.
Final word to you, Tommy, on this card. Anything that takes your fancy?
What's that, mate? You told me.
Final word. Yeah.
I like that fight as well. I had him beating Pascal as well, but I like the Ukrainian kid as well. He's a big puncher. I think he's with Robert Garcia as well. He's definitely trained doing Oxnard, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's in good hands. He's definitely one to keep an eye on. Hits hard, so I'm looking forward to seeing that fight. That's definitely a good fight, aye.
Donny, you're back with us. Do you want to say anything briefly against Usyk, against Hunter? We were giving Hunter props for stepping up, but we think he's going to be out of his depth badly.
Agreed.
Right. Good man, Donny. We've got some more questions at the end of the show and also a story from Russ, who's sitting patiently on mute, but we're going to go to the Bellew of the Weeks very quickly now. I think Andy's just stepped out. He'll be coming soon. I'm going to fly through these guys as quick as we can so that we get to the end of the show. Nomination for T-Coins Boxing, saying that AJ has the power. He's getting faster and stronger. He's horrifying. And basically then he goes on to say that he has George Foreman power. All right then. Also, nomination for Taylor Clayton. Eddie Hearn, is there any chance you could get Neil Diamond to perform Sweet Caroline live at a big Matchroom fight one day?
That's going to be a piss take, that one, surely, fuck.
You would think so. This one has been thrown in by our friend Hamada at the Boxing Coalition. This is for Mimu111785. He says, we got to stop acting like Triple G can't amass the same amount of various advertisers like LeBron has. You probably know more about this than me, Donny. Hamada says this is the equivalent of saying someone like Pulev coming to the UK and becoming a star like David Beckham. LeBron is a big star, I take it.
LeBron James?
I'm assuming so. I don't know.
Yeah. He's probably the biggest sports star in America, I would say.
So Triple G is not going to come over and amass that type of fame and fortune anytime soon?
I don't think so.
Okay. Ryan Bates says, I think British boxing needs O'Hara Davis. People view him as arrogant. I view him as confident and positive. He's the British moon. Oh dear. Right. Michael Aitor has nominated Spencer Fearon. No particular reason, just for being a knob. Okay, we can take that. Ruru McGonigal. Bellew of the week for the WBA president. He said, there's been a maximum of 10 controversial decisions in WBA fights in the last 5.5 years. Rory says, I'm assuming he means in the last 5.5 months.
Yeah, I heard that one, yeah.
Good comment. Amir Khan is considering a move up to MMA and has a warning for Conor McGregor, says the Wallet Inspector. That's the Mail Online who've put that up. This is a good one, Donny. Liam Jordan sent this in from... apparently, Anthony Ogogo has been registered blind after one of his fights. That's not the joke. But then Roots jumped in and said, AJ's class, in his weight... This is a big shame. He's a great talent. So basically, he's saying that Ogogo is as good as AJ, but just in a different weight class.
Fucking hell.
Oh, dear. And you sent this one in. Sky bet on who Tony Bellew will fight next. I believe that Chris Eubank Jr. is coming in at 10-1.
Yeah, he's like fifth favourite or something like that to fight him.
I know, ridiculous. Sorry about me breaking up, by the way, guys. I don't know what's going on here. I shall persist. Rory McGonigal nomination for Tesco Joe for claiming that Crawler is the biggest ticket seller in England. Must never have heard of Anthony Joshua. Paulie Malignaggi got spoofed by the Boxing Kingdom. The Boxing Kingdom says, what has size got to do with anything? Look at ants, for example. They can lift mice. Power and skill matters, not size. And Malignaggi got involved with the spoof Boxing Kingdom. We've all been there, Paulie. We've all been there. Right. O'Hara Davis, I have powerful men behind me, and then he had a man in a waistcoat. I don't know who this guy is.
No, Orlando Cruz has powerful men behind him too.
Oh,
that's a low blow, don't I? Right, Lawyer of the Week from Miguel Rivera. Canelo has to get past a tough upcoming fight when he faces his countryman, Saul Canelo Alvarez. Okay. Let's have a look. Joe would have beaten them. Oh yeah, David White was talking about Roy Jones Jr. and James Toney. Joe Calzaghe would have beaten him. That's why Roy Jones bottled fighting him for 10 years, and that's why Steve Collins retired.
Oh, good.
Can you still hear me okay, yeah?
Yeah, fine, mate.
Matthew Skelton sent this one on from Ultra Tech Sports Raw. AJ apparently was doing some training and he had a wet shirt, and Ultra Tech says, that's really very impressive. AJ's shirt is soaked, so he's come off a hard session, and then to do that, running in the sand, very impressive. Boxer trains revelation.
That reminds me of the story when Jesse Ventura says when he was on the set with Predator with Schwarzenegger, he would go down to the gym like 15 minutes before Schwarzenegger was due to start, soak his t-shirt in water. So when Schwarzenegger walked in, he's like, Jesus Christ, look at this guy. He's been up for hours on end training. Oh, fuck's sake.
Lee Jordison, apologies Lee, I accidentally put this in the Bellew of the Weeks instead of the questions. Froch versus Kessler 3, one more war or should both stay retired? We did discuss that earlier. Apologies Lee for missing that one out. Right, Dominic has sent this in. Late Bellew of the Week nomination for the Guardian's Kevin Mitchell for describing Anthony Crolla as one of the best British boxers of the past decade. That's what we call him, the Oracle. Oh dear. Matchroom Boxing, did anyone see this one with Meryl Streep? Na. Ricky Burns with Meryl Streep doing the...
I need to see that one.
I'll put them up on the Facebook page at the end of the week, Andy.
Hopefully that Eddie plays that across the tannoy on the big screen in that at the Hydro.
And that's it. Do you have any to add?
None for me, mate.
I've
Thomas?
one for Bunce last night. Bunce is Smith against Williams next week as a throwback fight to the 50s, 60s, 70s.
And it's for a world,
Smart.
it's for a world title.
Aye. Yeah. That was a fucking...
That was for Bunsey.
Buncey there.
Donny, any nominations from you?
Negative.
Right, who are you going for, Donny?
Usually you run through them real quick before I vote.
I'll go for the one that wanted Sweet Caroline played.
Aye, me too. Aye, the one with Neil Diamond.
Yeah, I'm going for that one as well. So it doesn't matter what you choose, Donny.
All right, well then, isn't that the story of life? Yeah.
You are irrelevant.
Yeah. All right, we'll go with that.
Okay, thank you. Well done then. Who is this guy? Let me quickly flick through the questions as quickly as I can. For asking for Neil Diamond to perform in person, Taylor Clayton. Congratulations, Taylor. Yeah, we need to head out soon, guys. We'll be very quick. Right, quick question. Asking you this one. Out of all of the Olympic screw jobs or fixes, which was the worst throughout the years? The podcast for a while, which is the best on Thank you. I know a lot of the cunts involved in boxing around the UK. Please tell me some of the other cunts from different regions.
Well, the obvious one's going to be
That's the
Roy
second
Jones.
Roy Jones, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the most obvious one of all. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Sorry,
was-
I said Dom's second question there. I unanimously agree that it's Roy Jones. But the second one, he knows about all the cunts in boxing from around the UK. But who are the cunts in Northern America, Southern America, Asia, the rest of Europe? I think he's talking about nasty bastards, maybe, people who are arseholes. Always gets him mentioned, doesn't he? The one who was in prison, what do you call him? Oh, he fought Shiming.
Wait, that guy's in prison?
Oh, what do you call him?
I know you're on about.
Wrong.
I can't remember.
Crazy?
Rinrong. He's got MMA.
Rinrong, yeah,
Rinrong, aye.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a cunt. Any others?
Ronan?
Tell you what, actually, pay attention to some of these Russian fighters and that, because you usually see like the guys that's in prison and that, they've usually got like a tattoo on them. It's usually like these Russian prisoners, especially if they've done serious time in that, like these tattoos actually mean like who they are and what it means to them and all that sort of shit. I noticed some one Russian show there. I downloaded a couple of weeks back, and this guy had 2 stars on his shoulders. It basically means that he was a thief or a criminal or some sort. Basically, he's done time, eh? So you could probably say like half that Russian scene's like full of like murderers and gangsters and just major fucking badasses, eh?
Well, these guys didn't get see like the mafia and that. These pay guys like pay kind of a lot of money to just come in and fight guys, kid, like in a bar and that at night.
That was rumoured, aye.
Or in a cellar or that. It's like that's crazy, man. They're mad. All these Russians are badasses.
Around in the world of boxing. Right, Don, a final question from Dom for you. What fighter had the most needless or unnecessary moment? For me, it was Morales versus Manny, the first fight in round 12 when he switched southpaw. The most needless or unnecessarily brave moment. I suppose guys taking unnecessary.
Wait, Steve, I'm really sorry. You just when you were asking that question, I don't know if your internet, maybe you're on the every other word plan, but I didn't get the whole thing.
Yeah, sorry, I seem to be having a few problems with the internet. I think one of the fighter who was necessarily beat.
Wait, the fighter. Wait, let's start it over. Wait, the fighter who is.
It's really bad, Steve. You're cutting out a fair bit there, mate.
Is it? I tell you what, we'll pack it up.
No, just try one more time.
No,
Post it in the chat. Post it in the chat, Steve. I'll read it out if you can, if you're near your.
All right.
Hope we can do 100 words a minute. Fucking hell.
Most unnecessary beating. Oh, the guy that fought Vitaly Klitschko, Shannon Briggs. That's the most unnecessary beating. He didn't need to take that beating. That referee should have stopped it And
Ian John Lewis masterclass.
Yeah, that wasn't Ian John Lewis. That was a signature Ian John Lewis. And then the best part is that he stops. I mean, maybe that affected him. Maybe that is why he stopped every fucking fight, because
he got a lot of shit for that fight. Yeah. I think that's played a part in him stopping Enzo McInerney, didn't it?
I think it's played a part in him stopping so many fights early, like the Ryan Rose versus what's his name, Carson Jones. Remember that, when he stopped that after 2 seconds? I mean, Ian John Lewis has stopped a lot of fights after 2 seconds. I think that Shannon Briggs episode has to play a part in that, obviously.
I think Steve's sounds fucked up, so I think we'll just end the show right here.
Yeah, that seems like a good plan.
Steve's been hosting, Tommy Allen on the call, myself, Donnie and Russ. Kind of shitty this week because of the sound and stuff, but we'll see you next week. All the best.
Cheers, guys.